Chapter 771. His evil intentions. Su Xingwei was one of the most outstanding and promising playboys of his age in Siju City. The Su family spared no resources to cultivate the younger generation. Qin Sheng was the future successor of the Qin family and the future leader of the Chang'an group. Unfortunately, the Qin family was in a precarious situation now. The Chang'an group had also become a broken ship that was leaking everywhere because of many things. Now, they could only reduce their weight by any means necessary to ensure that the ship would not sink. In many people's eyes, Qin Sheng and Su Xingwei were not on the same level. However, they seemed to have forgotten that Qin Sheng had another identity, which was that he was the grandson of the Zhu family. If this identity was taken into account, Qin Sheng was not inferior to Su Xingwei. The only thing he was slightly inferior to Su Xingwei was the path he took. Su Xingwei was an official, while Qin Sheng was destined to be a businessman in the future. If Su Xingwei went further and further, Qin Sheng might not have an easy life in the future. However, many things could not be confirmed. The path Su Xingwei took was also a hindrance to him. He could not do whatever he wanted like others. Once he did something out of line, it would be a stain on his record, and it would be harder for him to go further in the future. Therefore, when the two sides met, it could be said that they were evenly matched. In many people's eyes, Su Xingwei was not superior and Qin Sheng was not worth mentioning. On the other side, Qin Sheng only took Lin Su with him. Even here, Lin Su was still relatively outstanding. Otherwise, how could Qin Sheng and Yan Chaozong quarrel like this? On the other side, Su Xingwei and Yan Chaozong walked up to them unhurriedly, followed by a few of Su Xingwei's friends. Two of them also recognized Qin Sheng. After all, the Qin family's affairs had been the gossip of many people recently. Qin Sheng, the son of Qin Chang'an who had suddenly appeared, naturally had many stories dug out. When Yan Chaozong saw Lin Su holding Qin Sheng's arm tightly, he felt very depressed. It would be a lie to say that he was not jealous of Qin Sheng. This position originally belonged to him, and Lin Su also belonged to him. If Lin Su had chosen him at that time, if Qin Sheng had not appeared, they might have been married by now, and probably even had children, and these things would not have happened now. Therefore, Yan Chaozong really hated Qin Sheng. That was why he would do anything to kill Qin Sheng to vent his anger. If the first time was not enough, he would do it a second time. If the second time was not enough, he would do it a third time. Even after Qin Sheng became the first young master of the Qin clan, many people were quite afraid of him. Some chose to lower their heads and admit defeat. However, Yan Chaozong still did not intend to give up. It was impossible for him to lower his head and apologize to Qin Sheng. He was still thinking of ways to deal with Qin Sheng. It did not take long for the two parties to meet. Many people in the surroundings or in the distance were watching them. Some of them knew about the story between Qin Sheng and Yan Chaozong, while some of them were not very clear about it. They just watched the show. The young man who remembered Han Zhao was also in the crowd, staring at Su Xingwei and Yan Chaozong. Not many people knew his identity, but it was obvious that he was not a simple person to be able to come here. Xue Qinyan and Zhou Jianyu were also staring at this place. Zhou Jianyu knew that the relationship between Xue Qinyan and Qin Sheng was not simple. At that time, Xue Qinyan just mentioned this young man casually. At that time, he did not take it seriously. After all, Qin Sheng was just an ordinary young man at that time. However, when Xue Qinyan mentioned it some time ago, she said some things at the same time. Zhou Jianyu was stunned for a long time before he came to his senses. This was too incredible. From an ordinary person, he became Qin Chang'an's son in an instant. One must know that the difference was like heaven and earth. Therefore, at that time, Zhou Jianyu asked Xue Qinyan if she could predict the future. If this was an investment, the return would be tens of thousands of times. Since then, Zhou Jianyu paid attention to Qin Sheng and also inquired about a lot of things about Qin Sheng. Aren't you worried? Zhou Jinyu said with a smile, slightly teasing. Why was it like this? He always felt that the relationship between Xue Qinyan and Qin Sheng was not simple. It was not like the relationship between brother and sister. However, he was not sure. Xue Qinyan said casually, "What's the use of worrying? It's already beyond my ability. You said that Su Xingwei is not simple. Even if I worry, I can't solve the problem. But I believe that he can handle it well." Su Xingwei is indeed not simple, but Qin Sheng may not be afraid of him. Although the Qin family is in a bad situation now, you should not forget that Qin Sheng has another identity. The Zhu family is not weak. No matter how powerful the Su family is, they are still a little weaker than the Zhu family. Zhou Jinyu smiled and analyzed. As an outsider, he could jump out of a lot of existing logic to analyze these things. Xue Qinyan let out a long sigh and said, "I know what you said. But the Zhu family will not intervene in the Qin family's affairs. Otherwise, why has there been no movement until now?" Ha ha ha, not necessarily. Maybe it's just not the time, Zhou Jinyu said thoughtfully. Many things were not so absolute. Xue Qinyan squinted and said, "I hope so." "Qinyan, do you like Qin Sheng?" Zhou Jinyu said this hidden question in his heart without any warning. Xue Qinyan was shocked and said, "Ah?" Looking back at Zhou Jinyu, the look in her eyes was not right. Her expression was also very abnormal. Anyone could see that Xue Qinyan was nervous and uneasy. "Nothing, just kidding. Don't be nervous." Zhou Jinyu laughed and said. But Xue Qinyan's reaction made him already know the answer in his heart. This was a little difficult, a headache. On the other side, Qin Sheng and Su Xingwei finally met. Both sides looked very calm, not as hostile as imagined. Maybe it was because the occasion was different they had to pay attention to the image. In the end, both sides stopped when they were less than a meter apart. Qin Sheng squinted and looked at Su Xingwei and Yan Chaozong. Su Xingwei had only seen pictures before. This time he finally saw them in person. Maybe because of his official career, Su Xingwei looked more calm and restrained. But the inherent temperament in him could not be changed. This was the common characteristic of these rich playboys in Siju City. Then, Qin Sheng looked at Yan Chaozong again and finally put his eyes on Yan Chaozong. After saying goodbye in Hangzhou, they finally met again in Shanghai. But this time, the status of both sides was not like before. When they were in Shanghai, Yan Chaozong forced Qin Sheng to kneel down and admit his mistake. Qin Sheng remembered his arrogant look very clearly. Qin Sheng also remembered how Yan Chaozong humiliated him. But now? Yan Chaozong was no longer as arrogant and domineering as before. At this moment, Yan Chaozong was very low-key. The way he looked at Qin Sheng was more cautious. Although he did not directly avoid Qin Sheng's gaze, he did not dare to face Qin Sheng directly. Things were still the same, but people had changed. "You are Uncle Qin's son, Qin Sheng. I really did not expect that we would meet here." Su Xingwei made a very simple opening remark, and there was not too much tension in his words. Su Xingwei wanted to act, but Qin Sheng did not intend to cooperate with him. He directly replied, "What's the point of doing this, young Master Su? You can appear here tonight, isn't it for me?" Su Xingwei deliberately said with a smile, "Qin Sheng, I don't understand. Why did I come here for you? We have not met before. Moreover, the Su family and the Qin family are partners. If you don't believe me, you can ask Uncle Qin." Qin Sheng did not pay attention to Su Xingwei's words. He just looked at Yan Chaozong and said, "Then how do you explain this? Young Master Su, do you really think that I don't know what you are doing in Shanghai?" Su Xingwei did not expect Qin Sheng's character to be so straightforward, so he stopped acting. Anyway, a lot of things were just hidden, and in fact, everyone knew what was going on. So he changed his tone and said with a smile, "Qin Sheng, you are very boring. With this kind of character, it is easy to offend people. Young Master Su, we don't seem to have any interaction, and I have never offended you. Then why did you do this? Qin Shing looked at Yan Chaozong again and said, So in many things, you don't offend people if it is unrelated. As long as it involves interests and opportunities, there will be conflict. The Su family is the most straightforward in this regard. Su Xingwei said disapprovingly, After all, business is business. When it is necessary to stop the losses, one should stop the losses in time. Everyone will do so. The Su family did not do anything wrong. Qin Shing sneered and said, What you said is true. But why did young Master Su come to Shanghai? To support the Su family? Or to support the useless Yan Chaozong? When he said the last sentence, Qin Shing raised his voice on purpose. At the same time, he looked at Yan Chaozong again. This was a naked humiliation. But compared to what Yan Chaozong had done in the past, it was much better. As expected, after Yan Chaozong heard this, his face became very ugly, and the viciousness in his eyes could not be hidden. However, he did not dare to say anything. After all, with Su Xingwei present, it was not his turn to speak. Su Xingwei shook his head and smiled bitterly. Qin Shing, sometimes people should be tactful. Some things are not as simple as you think. Are you really not afraid that you will end badly in the end? Qin Shing asked, How do you know who will laugh in the end, young Master Su? So you already know what it means? Okay, since you said so, let's wait and see. When we meet again, I hope you can still say these words, Su Xingwei said firmly. Today, he came to join in the fun, and his purpose was very clear, which was to meet Qin Shing. As for how many layers there were in it, only he knew, and others could not guess. Qin Shing said impatiently, I still hope that we don't meet, because it is not necessary. Not necessary? Su Xingwei laughed. He had seen what Qin Shing was like. As expected, he did not let him down. He did not want to argue. Everything was just waiting for the result. In the end, Su Xingwei suddenly looked at Lin Su, who was beside Qin Shing. He suddenly said to Yan Chaozong with some evil interest, Chaozong, don't you have anything to say to your ex-girlfriend? Of course, Su Xingwei's words were to disgust Qin Shing. Yan Chaozong also understood what he meant. Although he was very unwilling, he still had to bite the bullet. He looked at Lin Su and said coldly, He is not worthy of you. Qin Shing was instantly enraged by her words. Chapter 772. It's best to not meet originally. This banquet was not in Su Xingwei's schedule. However, when he heard from his friend that Qin Shing would also attend, Su Xingwei suddenly became interested. Although he had heard many stories about Qin Shing, he had never seen Qin Shing in person. Since it was such a coincidence, he would like to meet this so-called successor of the Qin family. Su Xingwei's friend worked in the Central Committee of the Youth League and was in charge of this event. When he heard that Su Xingwei was in Shanghai, he took the initiative to invite him, but was rejected by Su Xingwei at that time. After all, Su Xingwei's identity and background were there, and he would not attend ordinary events easily. However, when the friend reviewed the invitation list, he saw Qin Shing's name and confirmed his identity. After all, it was written that Qin Shing was a non-executive director of the Chang, a department and so on. Su Xingwei's friend was not simple. He was also very familiar with Su Xingwei and knew some inside information. When he knew that Qin Shing would also attend, he contacted Su Xingwei again. Unexpectedly, this time Su Xingwei directly agreed after a moment of silence. Hence, tonight's purposeful encounter happened. Su Xingwei knew that Qin Shing would come, but he still deliberately brought Yan Chaozong to attend. It was obvious that he came for Qin Shing, and Yan Chaozong was also very clear about the significance of his existence. When Su Xingwei expressed his opinion, Yan Chaozong could only do as he was told even if he was unwilling. Yan Chaozong knew better than anyone else who was more important. He and Qin Shing had already fallen out with each other. Now it was even to the point of no return. There was absolutely no possibility of reconciliation between the two sides. Therefore, no matter how much he offended Qin Shing, it was nothing more than this. However, on Su Xingwei's side, Yan Chaozong had to perform well to perhaps get Su Xingwei's appreciation, so that Su Xingwei would take him seriously. Taking a step back, Su Xingwei could bring him to attend this banquet and bring him to face Qin Shing at the same time. This was also to show Qin Shing and others that he, Yan Chaozong, was Su Xingwei's man. Therefore, even if there was a bottomless abyss in front of him, Yan Chaozong had to jump into it without hesitation, not to mention that it was just to disgust Qin Shing. Su Xingwei made a move and Yan Chaozong executed it. The two of them cooperated very well. If Yan Chaozong did not have this ability, he would not be worthy of Su Xingwei's investment. However, Yan Chaozong was more or less unwilling to do so. He could face Qin Shing directly, but he was still a little reluctant to use Lin Su to disgust Qin Shing. After all, Lin Su was a woman he used to like. He liked her very, very much. Otherwise, he would not have come this far for Lin Su. Yan Chaozong's gaze was cold and determined. However, he did not dare to look at Lin Su, because he would feel guilty and blame himself. Hence, he could only look at Qin Shing directly. After he finished speaking, Qin Shing's face instantly turned livid. He knew that Su Xingwei had brought Yan Chaozong here for him, but he did not expect that Su Xingwei would use such a method to disgust him. Lin Su was his woman. Using Lin Su to disgust him was equivalent to slapping his face. How could Qin Shing tolerate this? However, it was destined that Qin Shing did not dare to fight here. No matter how angry he was, he had to suppress it. However, the enmity between him and Su Xingwei could be considered to have been completely formed. Previously, they might have become rivals because of their family's standpoint. But now, Qin Shing's impression of Su Xingwei was extremely bad. Qin Shing ignored Yan Chaozong's existence. The only opponent he had right now was Su Xingwei. Yan Chaozong was not qualified at all. He was just a dog raised by Su Xingwei. Yan Chaozong was not qualified at all. He was just a dog raised by Su Xingwei. Su Xingwei said disapprovingly, "How is it dirty? I just asked Yan Chaozong to say hello." Qin Shing, you don't have to be so stingy. You were the one who snatched Beauty Lin from Yan Chaozong. Many people should be clear about this, whose means are more dirty. At this time, Lin Su suddenly stood up. She looked at Yan Chaozong and said impolitely, "Yan Chaozong, you really disappoint me. It's not up to you to decide whether you are qualified or not. You don't have this right. I'm so glad that I met Qin Shing and not you. Now you are really ridiculous. What's more ridiculous is that you are willing to be someone else's dog. Is this still the Yan Chaozong I know?" Although Lin Su did not know Su Xingwei, she could see that Su Xingwei and Qin Shing did not get along. Moreover, Yan Chaozong was with this person. She was so smart, how could she not figure it out? Yan Chaozong teamed up with this man to deal with Qin Shing. Since he used her to humiliate Qin Shing, she would not sit back and do nothing. As Qin Shing's woman, she naturally had to stand on Qin Shing's side. Yan Chaozong did not expect that Lin Su would suddenly speak up. He originally thought that this was a matter between men. No matter how uncomfortable Lin Su was, she would not say anything. However, he had miscalculated. Isn't it all thanks to you that I can be where I am today? If you choose the current Qin Shing, I have nothing to say. However, I can't understand why you chose the Qin Shing in the past, Yan Chaozong said subconsciously. This was the biggest pain in his heart and also the most frustrating thing for him. He lost to the current Qin Shing because he was not capable enough. However, he could not accept losing to the Qin Shing in the past. Lin Su looked at Yan Chaozong and sneered. Yan Chaozong, in your eyes, everything can be measured by things like money and status, including love, right? You don't know what love is at all. Why should I choose you? You. Lin Su's words made Yan Chaozong speechless. He did not know how to respond for a moment. Beauty Lin is really sharp. You haven't married into the Qin family yet, but you can't wait to stand up for Qin Shing. Aren't you afraid that it will be all for naught? Not everyone can enter the Qin family. Beauty Lin, don't miscalculate. Su Xingwei stood up and laughed. He used another way to suppress Lin Su. It was the dream of a rich and powerful family that every woman would fantasize about. The Qin family was a real rich and powerful family. His meaning was very obvious. That was, Lin Su had chosen Qin Shing with ulterior motives. Lin Su looked at Su Xingwei and said, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what happened between you and Qin Shing. However, since you can vent your anger on a woman, I think no matter how powerful you are, you won't go far. Su Xingwei squinted and stared at Lin Su. He really looked down on this woman. No wonder Yan Chaozong was so crazy about her. At this time, Qin Shing added, It is said that Child Su is one of the most promising young people in Siju City. I also heard that many people compare you with Song Hushing. After seeing it today, I finally understand that this is the biggest humiliation to Song Hushing. Tut 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 tut. Su Xingwei was hit hard by Qin Shing and Lin Su's words. In an instant, Su Xingwei cursed in his heart. What annoyed him most was that others compared him with Song Hushing and Chen Taihe, not to mention that he was not as good as Song Hushing. Song Hushing, Chen Taihe, and Su Xingwei belonged to different circles. They were all young juniors who had high hopes. They were competing with each other secretly. No one wanted to be suppressed by others. Chen Taihe was the fastest now, but Song Hushing had a stronger foundation. Su Xingwei was slightly weaker. So Qin Shing's words made Su Xingwei very angry. Moreover, there were many rivals chasing after them. Su Xingwei snorted, Tut tut tut. Even if I want to compare, I will only compare myself with Song Hushing. Do you have the qualification? Qin Shing laughed out loud and said, Of course I don't have the qualification. Even if I do, I will not be as unscrupulous as Child Su. So you are still far behind them. You and I are in different positions. It is your business how the Su family chooses. On behalf of the Qin family, I will naturally stand on the opposite side of you. We will laugh until the end with our own ability. We will not blame anyone for the final result. But I don't understand what Child Su is doing tonight. I just feel that as a dignified Su Xingwei, this is all you can do. Su Xingwei used Lin Su to attack Qin Shing, and Qin Shing used the same thing to attack Su Xingwei. This round could be considered a tie. Both sides had wins and losses. However, everyone knew that these were just small fights. The reason why both sides could be so fierce was based on the premise that the strength and background of the families behind them were on par. Otherwise, how could Yan Chaozong not be qualified to face Qin Shing directly, but just be a dog for Su Xingwei? Therefore, once the final result was out and they met again, the situation might not be the same as now. At that time, the one who was at a disadvantage would probably admit defeat. TSK, your eloquence is not bad. But sometimes it is easy to offend people with your words, especially after the Qin family lost power. Su Xingwei sneered. Qin Shing said disdainfully, You don't have to worry about this, Child Su. Everyone has their own choice and way of living. I can't be criticized by you even if I fart, right? Su Xingwei had already seen Qin Shing's ability, which was more interesting than he thought. Why did he do this tonight? Of course, there was a purpose. Now it was almost over. At this time, Su Xingwei's friend suddenly came over and shouted, Old Su, you are here. Come with me quickly, Secretary Lu has arrived. He heard that you are also here tonight and insisted that I bring you over to have a chat. Hearing this, Su Xingwei knew that the confrontation with Qin Shing tonight had come to an end. He nodded to his friend and looked at Qin Shing, saying, I still have something to do, so I can't play with you. I hope that you can still be like this the next time we meet. Qin Shing said calmly, It's better if we don't meet, otherwise it will be troublesome. Su Xingwei did not respond to Qin Xing anymore. He followed his friend and left directly. Since Su Xingwei left, Yan Chaozong naturally left as well. If he stayed here, he would only be humiliated by Qin Xing. Yan Chaozong was not that stupid. However, when he left, Yan Chaozong looked at Qin Xing with eyes full of resentment, especially Qin Xing and Lin Su's intimate look. This position originally belonged to him. Many acquaintances attended the banquet, so many people witnessed this scene. It was believed that it would not take long for the news to spread to the ears of many people. After all, this was originally a gathering place for news. The man who had threatened Han Zhao was standing closest to Su Xingwei and Qin Xing's circle just now, so he had heard everything they had said. Naturally, he was not a big shot. He just represented someone, and this someone had a great background. Chapter 773. It was abnormal. Since this man could sneak into tonight's banquet, it was obvious that he was very capable, or had a lot of power behind him. He was eavesdropping at such a close distance, which meant that Qin Xing and Su Xingwei did not know each other. That was why he was so unscrupulous. However, judging from the way he threatened Han Zhao just now, it seemed that he was on Qin Xing's side. Whether it was Qin Chang'an or the other people at the table, everyone was very clear that it was the last critical moment. However, the closer it was to the last moment, the more hidden forces would show up. Some might be each other's last trump card, some might be forces that wanted to fish in troubled waters, and some might even be unknown to the people at the table. The show ended just like that. Su Xingwei had achieved his goal. He had successfully used Yan Chaozong to disgust Qin Xing. However, Qin Xing was not angered by him. During this time, his ability to control his temper had improved. Otherwise, he would have been angered to death by these people who spoke sarcastically. It was useless to fight with words. The real confrontation was still on the table. Su Xingwei followed that friend to the lounge where the leaders were sitting. That friend asked casually, "Is that Qin Chang'an's son? He doesn't look like much." Su Xingwei said happily, "What do you think he should look like? Don't look down on him. He is very capable. His mouth is even sharper than yours. If you are interested, you can take a look at him later." This man was the same age as Su Xingwei. If he worked hard for another 2 years, he would be able to get the title of secretary. His name was Wei Feng. Su Xingwei was very familiar with him. A few years ago, when he chose this path, everyone was very optimistic. After all, this path was very easy at that time. Even Su Xingwei was a little envious. If it were not for the fact that his family did not have any connections with the Tuan department, Su Xingwei would also like to take this path. As expected, Wei Feng progressed very fast in the past few years. However, who would have thought that many things would not stay the same? The plan could not keep up with the changes. In the past 2 years, the upward path of the Tuan department was directly poisoned. Wei Feng's pace finally slowed down. He could only watch his peers start to surpass him. If he did not make changes, he might fall behind in the future. In the past, Wei Feng had been somewhat arrogant when he saw Su Xingwei. However, he had been polished in the past 2 years and had no choice but to change. He smiled bitterly and said, "That was me in the past. Now I am very low-key. How can I be like you, Chief Su?" Of course, Su Xingwei knew what this meant. Even if Wei Feng could get the title of secretary in 2 years, by then, he might have already advanced a step further. Moreover, there was a lot of resistance for Wei Feng to jump out of the regiment department, and it was even more impossible for him to erase his resume from the regiment department. At that time, he would not be able to please both sides, so Wei Feng's path was not going to be easy. "See, you still say that your mouth isn't bad?" Su Xingwei teased with a smile. Wei Feng shrugged and said, "Sigh, I'm used to being in front of you. I can't help but want to insult you. However, I never insult people in the workplace." At this time, they had already walked to the entrance of the lounge. The security here was very strict. Tonight, the real big shots were all inside. Wei Feng sent Su Xingwei there, and prepared to busy himself with other things. At this time, Su Xingwei suddenly asked, "Have you thought about what I suggested to you last time? What's your family's opinion? You still have a chance to make a choice now. In another 2 years, if you really get to that point, you won't have a chance anymore." Wei Feng patted Su Xingwei's shoulder gently and said, "Let's not talk about this. I know that you are doing this for my own good, but it's not that easy. Let's just continue moving forward like this. Who knows what will happen in the future? Who can guarantee that the wheel of fortune will turn?" Since Wei Feng had already said so, Su Xingwei did not say anything more. He just sighed. For them, the most precious things were time and age. After they passed this age, they would not have such opportunities again. This was the political system. Yan Chaozong followed closely behind Su Xingwei. When Su Xingwei entered, he let Yan Chaozong take a seat first. He would come over after he was done with his work. Yan Chaozong smiled and nodded before leaving. However, he still thought about what Su Xingwei and Wei Feng had said. Although he did not understand what it meant, he was sure that it was not simple. Yan Chaozong could not help but think that if he had chosen the path of politics in the beginning, how far could he go now and how far could he go in the future? As for the ability, he believed that it would not belong to others. As soon as he returned to his seat, Xue Qinyan walked over again. This time, Zhou Jianyu did not follow her. He went to the VIP lounge. With his status, he naturally had the right to enter. Many of his business partners were in there. Zhou Jianyu did not follow her. "How is it? I see that you guys are very aggressive," Xue Qinyan said with concern. Qin Xing said impatiently, "They are coming for me. This Su Xingwei is a bit unscrupulous. He deliberately brought Yan Chaozong to disgust me. Obviously, he is trying to show off to me, telling me that Yan Chaozong is his man, so that I can't act rashly." Just as Zhou Jianyu said, these things were already beyond their ability. Most people would try to avoid them. How could they take the initiative to provoke them? However, Xue Qinyan still wanted to figure out what was going on. "Then what are you going to do?" Xue Qinyan asked. Yan Chaozong was Qin Sheng's mortal enemy. He had tried to kill Qin Sheng twice. It was impossible for Qin Sheng to spare him because of Su Xingwei. Sure enough, Qin Sheng said honestly, Su Xingwei is pursuing an official career. He has more concerns than me. Since he wants to intervene in this matter, then I don't have to be afraid of him. Anyway, before I leave Shanghai, I will definitely take down Yan Chaozong. When he finished speaking, Qin Sheng's tone was very firm. Obviously, he would not stop until he killed Yan Chaozong. Even if Su Xingwei wanted to stop him, he could not. "How did you offend this Su Xingwei?" Xue Qinyan asked with some confusion. Qin Sheng sighed and said, "Actually, there is no interaction between us, but the two families have contacts. The Su family is the behind-the-scenes shareholder of the Chang'an system. This time, the Su family was the first to turn against the Qin family in the internal dispute of the Chang'an system. So now we are enemies." Xue Qinyan finally understood and replied, "I see. Then you have to be careful." "Okay, sister, don't worry." Qin Sheng did not want Xue Qinyan to worry too much, so he smiled and comforted her. Xue Qinyan chatted for a while and then returned to her seat. Qin Sheng and Lin Su did not leave. Maybe they had heard about Qin Sheng's identity, so many people took the initiative to come over and say hello. Among them, Qin Sheng also knew some of them, but he was not familiar with them. After all, Qin Sheng had not been in this circle for a long time. The dinner party started in this way. After the leaders and the guests finished their speeches, it officially started. There were no other disturbances in the middle. Until the end, Qin Sheng met a few big shots, some of whom he had met in Beijing or Shanghai, and had a lot of contacts with Qin Chang'an. Naturally, Qin Sheng took the initiative to say hello to them. Qin Sheng did not like this kind of social intercourse, but he knew that he had to deal with it. In the future, when he really took over, there would be more social intercourse for him to deal with. At 10 o'clock in the evening, the dinner party finally ended. Qin Sheng took Lin Su to say hello to the acquaintances and left quietly. On the way back, Qin Sheng teased Lin Su. "Wife, you look so domineering when you are mad today. You look like a heroine." Lin Su, who was leaning on Qin Sheng's chest, said angrily, "You're making fun of me again." Qin Sheng laughed and said, "I'm really not. I'm just praising you. I didn't expect that you would speak up. I also didn't expect that you would be so powerful." Su Xingwei and Yan Chaozong were speechless because of your words. "They bullied you." "Of course, I have to stand up for you," Lin Su said honestly. At this moment, Lin Su no longer had the aura she had just now. She was just an ordinary little woman. She took the initiative to stand behind Qin Sheng and accompany him silently. She felt that this was enough. Qin Sheng could not help but hug Lin Su tightly and said, "Wife, I'm sorry. I made you feel wrong today. I will stand up for you sooner or later." Lin Su understood what Qin Sheng meant. Even if she felt that there was nothing wrong, Qin Sheng would keep it in mind. Therefore, she did not say anything like that. She only replied, "I believe you." In the early morning, Qin Sheng got up when the sky was slightly bright. He did not disturb Lin Su. Instead, he went into the study. Soon, he received a call from Chang Baji. Last night, they had discussed all the plans with Wu Yongchuan and made several plans, including the last route of retreat and the worst result and possibility. At this moment, Chang Baji reported to Qin Sheng in detail. After listening to him, Qin Sheng felt that there was no need to add anything. However, he still told Chang Baji, Yang Dainiu, and the others that they could fail the task, but they should pay attention to their safety. Chang Baji just smiled and nodded in response. However, he knew what it meant for Qin Sheng to get rid of Third Master Wu. It was equal to relieving a lot of pressure for Qin Sheng. Only by getting rid of this trouble completely could he really take revenge for Gu Qingyang. Therefore, Chang Baji had already given the order to Yang Dainiu and the others. This time, they must get rid of Third Master Wu at all costs. After both sides confirmed, Qin Sheng said, "Let's go." Chang Baji nodded and hung up the phone. He shouted to the people in the room who had already gathered, "Let's go." They packed up and rushed to Haining. Everyone knew that Haining was full of dangers and they might not come back. However, they were not ordinary people. Therefore, they were entrusted with important tasks and hoped that everything would go well. An hour later, Third Master Wu's motorcade also set off in Hangzhou. As expected, Chu Xikong followed Third Master Wu. In addition, Yang Deng, Liang Yu, and the others, including Luo Changgong, also went with them. No one knew why he was going to Haining. At this moment, the old house of the Wu family in Haining was already bustling with people. Many people were busy in front and back. In order to make trouble this time, Wu Yongchuan had spent a lot of money. He had done what he should do and was only waiting for the desired result. In the Sihiyuan of the Qin family in Beijing, Qin Chang'an got up very early to exercise as usual. After the exercise, he rested for a while. After breakfast, he was ready to set off for the group. When he was about to set off, he suddenly received a call. Then, he cancelled the trip to the group and called Gongsun into the study. They did not come out until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which was quite abnormal. Chapter 774. A little flustered Qin Chang'an still didn't dye his hair. His hair was still white and old. It was not that he didn't have time to dye it, but he didn't have time to care about these trivial things. Qin Chang'an used to pay attention to his image, but now he didn't care about it. These days, Qin Chang'an rarely went to the company. Most of the time, he went out to meet guests. Sometimes he went out during the day and came back late at night. No one knew who he went to meet. Sometimes he stayed at home and received many sudden calls. Then the conversations might last 2 or 3 hours. Maybe because he hadn't been to the company for a few days, Qin Chang'an didn't have any plans today, so he planned to go to the company. Actually, he had made all the arrangements. This was just a precaution. He wasn't sure whether these arrangements would be useful when he was not here. However, this sudden call quietly disrupted Qin Chang'an's arrangements. This was a call he had to pick up, and it was also the call he was most afraid of receiving. It was not that he was avoiding anything, but he was very clear that this call at this time was obviously not a good thing. Because in his prediction, if it had been a week and a half later, there might have been room for maneuver. Obviously, God didn't give him more time. As expected, after Qin Chang'an answered the phone, he was completely relieved. Everything had finally been settled. Although it was unexpected, it was reasonable. He could only accept such a result, because he was very clear about what kind of role this matter played in the course of history and what kind of significance it had. He was just a sacrifice. Qin Chang'an's eyes lit up. Fortunately, those people did not try to kill him. Perhaps someone spoke up at the critical moment and gave him the last few days, allowing him time to plan his retreat and so on. Gongsun was Qin Chang'an's absolute confidant and also controlled many forces behind the Qin family. Qin Chang'an had absolute trust in him, so at the last moment, Qin Chang'an handed everything to Gongsun. In these few hours, Qin Chang'an had already arranged everything that he could think of. After all, he had thought about these things for a long time. When there was a storm, everyone would prepare for a rainy day to deal with the worst result. After Gongsun came out of Qin Chang'an's study, the first thing he did was to arrange for the 2 uninvited strangers to go to Shanghai. Since they could help the Qin family unconditionally, he would let them handle this tricky matter. Anyway, it would not have anything to do with the Qin family. However, Gongsun was hesitating about one thing. This was also Qin Chang'an's suggestion. Should he ask for Qin Sheng's opinion? After all, he was helping Qin Sheng to clear the obstacles. Who asked him to be short of time? After Gongsun started to get busy, Qin Chang'an went to the group. Now that the worst situation had occurred, what he needed to do now was to start the established plan to deal with the crisis. Even at this stage, he would not admit defeat easily. Consequently, these arrangements of the group were very important to him and the Qin family. In the building of the Shanghai World Financial Center, Qin Sheng had been a little flustered since he arrived at the company. He had been restless and could not calm down. He always felt that something bad was going to happen, which made him very agitated. Yen Pan had already returned to work. It was said that she had made up with her boyfriend. The 2 of them had completely talked to each other, and were no longer in a cold war like before. Her boyfriend now understood his work very well and turned to support him. Yen Pan also promised that if she stayed in Shanghai for too long, she would take the initiative to apply to be transferred back to Beijing. Both of them had reached a compromise. Qin Sheng, who had been flustered, was not in the mood to work. He could only keep smoking to ease his mood. Yen Pan found that Qin Sheng had been like this for a long time. She came in and poured a cup of tea for Qin Sheng. She asked, "President Qin, what's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well?" At this moment, Qin Sheng was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and looking into the distance. The weather was very good today. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, he could see far away. However, he still could not see where the edge of Shanghai was. Qin Sheng turned around and said casually, "I'm fine. I'm just a little flustered." It seemed that every time he was flustered, something bad would happen. Therefore, Qin Sheng was a little worried. Could it be that Haining's task would fail and Lao Chang and Yang Dainyu would be in danger? Or would Su Xingwei and the minions of the Yen family, the Shui family, and the Gu family start to fight back? Or would someone target his woman? There was another possibility. Something might have happened in Beijing. However, there was no news yet. No matter what, the more he could not figure it out, the more flustered he was, and the more worried he was. At the same time, Su Xingwei finally set off for Beijing. This was his original plan. After all, he could not stay in Shanghai for too long because of his personal affairs. There was still a lot of work that he needed to handle and be responsible for. Otherwise, the leaders would have a problem with him. Although these rich playboys seemed to have a good background, they would face more and more obstacles in the future. Firstly, others would have higher expectations of them. After all, they had an innate advantage. Secondly, the further they went to a place, the more they would be ostracized. It would be very difficult for them to integrate into the big circle. Therefore, the road in the future would be easier when they had a good foundation. Otherwise, it would not be easy to go further. It was not everything that could be decided by one's background. Yan Chaozong knew that Su Xingwei was leaving today, so he took the initiative to send Su Xingwei off. After the young master left, the pressure on him would be relieved. Otherwise, Yan Chaozong really didn't know what to do if he stayed in Shanghai. Besides Yan Chaozong, Gu Yu also came to see Su Xingwei off. She still wanted to ride on Su Xingwei's coattails. Originally, she wanted to treat Su Xingwei to a meal, but Su Xingwei did not give her the chance. However, when she said that she would see Su Xingwei off, Su Xingwei did not reject her. After all, the Gu family was still working for them. Before leaving, Su Xingwei comforted Yan Chaozong and said, "Chaozong, when I'm not in Shanghai, you have to pay more attention to the things in Shanghai. After what happened last night, he will not do anything to you easily. Even if he wants to do something, I will keep an eye on him." Yan Chaozong said respectfully, "Brother Su, don't worry about this. If there is any movement in Shanghai, I will contact you at any time. If it is beyond my ability, I will ask for your opinion." Su Xingwei laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, don't be too stressed in front of me. We are friends now. I have always been very loyal to my friends." Since Xue Ku and Gu Yongning had both fallen, Yan Chaozong used to discuss many things with them. Now that Su Xingwei had come out, Yan Chaozong didn't need to pay attention to them anymore. This was probably the biggest gain this time. It gave Yan Chaozong the opportunity to contact Su Xingwei directly. Yan Chaozong suddenly thought of something and asked, "Brother Su, what about Third Master Wu?" Gu Yu heard this name and snorted. "That fence-sitter, why do we care about him?" Gu Yu was not ignorant. Now that Xue Ku and Gu Yongning had woken up, she also knew a lot of things from her brother. Of course, she knew what kind of person Third Master Wu was. As for the Xue family, Xue Ping had already left Shanghai and returned to Beijing yesterday. The Xue family had sent someone else to take care of Xue Ku. When his body had almost recovered, they would transfer Xue Ku back to Beijing to recuperate. It seemed that Su Xingwei's appearance had changed a lot of things. Su Xingwei said disapprovingly, "Don't worry about Third Master Wu. We don't need him now. If he takes the initiative to contact you, then we will talk about it. If he is still like this, I will spare time to play with him after I finish my work." Hearing this, Yan Chaozong nodded silently and said, "Then I know." Su Xingwei had the confidence and strength. It seemed that Third Master Wu would pay the price after all. Gu Yu did not want to talk about these things. She chuckled and said, "Xingwei, I really troubled you this time. You took time out of your busy schedule to come to Shanghai. Since you have no time these days, I will invite you to dinner when I return to Beijing. At that time, you must give me face." Su Xingwei said perfunctorily, "Ha ha, you don't have to be so polite to me. When I return to Beijing, I will contact you at any time." He still needed to stay away from this woman. Her purpose was too clear, and she knew how to use him. However, Su Xingwei almost seldom made mistakes when it came to women. His wife was born in a noble family, which could be regarded as a match for his family. Now she was also on the path of an official career. If he made mistakes when it came to women, Su Xingwei knew what the consequences would be. So he understood it very well. After the three of them chatted for a while, Su Xingwei directly entered the station and took the high-speed train to Beijing. The Su family could not wait to ask him to go back as soon as possible. It seemed that there was some movement in Beijing, and everyone was waiting for the result. After Yan Chaozong left, Su Xingwei let out a long sigh of relief. Gu Yu could see that Su Xingwei appreciated Yan Chaozong very much. Moreover, the Yan family did have some power in Shanghai. Su Xingwei supported Yan Chaozong so much. During this period, she would live in Shanghai, so Gu Yu planned to improve her relationship with Yan Chaozong. Gu Yu said with charming eyes, "Chaozong, it's time for lunch. Why don't we talk again?" Su Xingwei could ignore Gu Yu, but Yan Chaozong did not have the confidence to do so. He had to take the opportunity and said, "That's what I should do. I should do my best as a host. However, we are too busy these days. In this case, I will choose a place. Sister Gu, what do you like to eat?" "I'm fine with anything. You choose the place." Gu Yu pursed her lips and smiled. At this moment, the taste of a young married woman was undoubtedly revealed, which made people want to eat it. Haining, a city next to Hangzhou Bay, was very famous in the past. Many celebrities and big families came from there. After all, Haining was very close to Shanghai, Hangzhou, and Ningbo. This kind of geographical location was more advantageous. The Wu family of Haining had been there for many generations. They were the descendants of the Song dynasty who migrated south. Their ancestors were also big families in the north. By Wu Yongchuan's generation, they had produced many descendants. Wu Yongchuan might not be famous in Shanghai now, but when he returned to Haining, he was still a big shot. Therefore, such a big event in the Wu family had shocked many people. At this moment, the whole house was full of guests. When Third Master Wu appeared, the atmosphere in the Wu family directly reached the peak. Chapter 775. Chapter 775. Only waiting for the night. The Wu family had a deep foundation in Haining, and the whole family was flourishing. However, most of the promising and capable people had left Haining and lived in the Yangtze River Delta region. Some of them even went overseas to foreign countries, which was quite common for the big families in the south. Therefore, the most important thing for the southern families was to build the genealogy and worship the ancestors. This was the Wu family's old house, which covered an area of several acres. The buildings in the middle were the Huizhou architecture of the Ming and Qing dynasties. The old house of the Wu family used to cover a large area. Unfortunately, it was destroyed by war and fire, and only a small part of it was left. Wu Yongchuan's father rebuilt it after he became rich, which could be regarded as a memory for the descendants of the Wu family. After Wu Yongchuan came back with his mother, wife, and children, they lived in the old house directly. The old house was often cleaned and tidied up. After all, the main buildings were built later, so the decoration and supporting facilities were very complete. It was not a problem for people to live in it. Haining belonged to Jiaxing, which was not far from Hangzhou. Therefore, many people knew about the famous Third Master Wu and Wu Yongchuan, who was the godson of Third Master Wu. As for other things, most people did not know. Only those tycoons who had reached a certain level knew about them. But no matter what, when Third Master Wu appeared, everyone was envious of the Wu clan. To be able to get Third Master Wu's support, the Wu clan was still very influential. The Wu clan still had a deep foundation. Wu Yongchuan welcomed Third Master Wu in person with the direct and collateral relatives of the Wu family. His mother was waiting in the main hall of the ancestral house. After all, she was old and it was not convenient for her to walk. Moreover, Third Master Wu respected Wu Yongchuan's mother very much. Therefore, his mother was qualified to welcome him. Apart from Chu Xikong, he Luo Changgong, Yang Deng, and Liang Yu, who were his absolute trusted subordinates, the rest of them were bodyguards with good skills. Third Master Wu did not have any schedule in Haining. After attending the sacrificial ceremony of the Wu family, he would directly drive back to Hangzhou. At this time, the others had already stepped out of the car quickly and separated the others. It was not until Chu Sikong opened the car door that Third Master Wu, who was dressed in black linen clothes, slowly got out of the car. His aura was extremely powerful. Even though the others on the scene were far away from him, they could feel his aura. For many of them, it was the first time that they had seen the legendary Third Master Wu. Therefore, they had no regrets about this trip. Wu Yongchuan bowed respectfully and shouted, "Foster father, you are here." Third Master Wu did not like this foster son very much. Although he had once placed high hopes on him, he had completely broken his heart in the end. How could he not know what Wu Yongchuan was thinking? It was precisely because he knew that he treated Wu Yongchuan coldly. Not killing Wu Yongchuan was already the greatest kindness that Third Master Wu had shown to him. If Third Master Wu put Wu Yongchuan in an important position, how could he convince the public? As a result, now, Third Master Wu and Wu Yongchuan only had the previous kindness left, and there was no interest relationship between them anymore. This time, Third Master Wu came to Haining for the sake of Wu Yongchuan's dead father and old mother. If Wu Yongchuan's old mother were also dead, Third Master Wu would probably have nothing to do with Wu Yongchuan at all. The only relationship left was the nominal relationship between Third Master Wu and Wu Yongchuan. The rest of the Wu family also respectfully lowered their heads and said, "Third Master." Third Master Wu nodded casually and waved his hand to show his respect. He had met many juniors of the Wu family before. When Wu Yongchuan had been put in an important position by him, many juniors of the Wu family had also worked for him. It was not until Wu Yongchuan had betrayed him that these juniors were abandoned. After all, they belonged to Wu Yongchuan. "Are you all ready?" Third Master Wu asked with concern. No matter how much he disliked Wu Yongchuan, this was the priest of Wu Yongchuan's father, namely his big brother. He still cared about it more or less. After all, without his big brother, there would not be the current Third Master Wu. Wu Yongchuan said politely, "Foster father, don't worry. Everything is ready. We are just waiting for you." "Where is your mother?" All these were within Third Master Wu's expectation. If he had not come, Wu Yongchuan would not have started the activity at will. Wu Yongchuan reached out his hand and said, "Foster father, my mother has been waiting for you inside for a long time. Lunch has been prepared at home. You go in first. After lunch, we will start the activity officially." "Okay." Third Master Wu still had the same attitude. Wu Yongchuan asked his foster father to walk ahead of him. Chu Sikong followed him closely. Someone had already led the way. Moreover, Third Master Wu had been to the old house of the Wu family before. It was not until this moment that Wu Yongchuan greeted Luo Changgong and Yang Deng, who were behind him. Yang Deng said happily, "Big brother, you must be very busy, right?" Wu Yongchuan smiled happily and said, "It's okay. There is nothing to do. The subordinates will do it. I just need to keep an eye on them." In terms of status, Luo Changgong in the past was no match for Wu Yongchuan at all. At that time, Wu Yongchuan was unique in the whole circle. No one dared to challenge his status. Everyone knew the relationship between Wu Yongchuan and Third Master Wu. Third Master Wu, who had no children, was destined to hand over everything to Wu Yongchuan in the future. That was because without the Wu family, there would be no Third Master Wu today. Consequently, when Luo Changgong saw Wu Yongchuan at that time, he would call him Big Brother respectfully. However, it did not occur to him that what happened later would happen. Wu Yongchuan, who only needed to wait for time, could not sit still and betray the Wu family. Everyone was shocked. Originally, Wu Yongchuan thought that he could win the support of other foster sons by promising them enough benefit. However, it did not occur to him that these foster sons would all oppose him. In the end, Wu Yongchuan was attacked by them. What Wu Yongchuan did not expect at that time was that these foster sons had already discussed in private. They would only have a chance to take over after Wu Yongchuan fell down. If Wu Yongchuan did not fall down, it would be meaningless at all. Since Wu Yongchuan fell down, when others saw Wu Yongchuan, they seemed to call him Big Brother politely. However, in their hearts, they did not take Wu Yongchuan seriously anymore. That was because he was not the Wu Yongchuan in the past anymore. However, the relationship between Luo Changgong and Wu Yongchuan was not bad. At that time, Wu Yongchuan had taken care of Luo Changgong, while the others suppressed Luo Changgong, especially the arrogant Lao heir. Consequently, Luo Changgong still remembered some favors. After Wu Yongchuan's accident, although he did not understand why, he did not hit him when he was down. In fact, Luo Changgong's character could be seen from his relationship with Yang Deng and the fact that he had let Qin Xing go at the critical moment. This person had a broad vision and did not care about these trivial things. Consequently, he could be regarded as a big figure. Luo Changgong also called him Big Brother. The relationship between them now was more like that of friends. They did not have any business dealings like in the past. Wu Yongchuan smiled happily and said, "I'm very happy and grateful that you can come." Luo Changgong replied, "Big Brother, it's okay for others not to come. But how can we not come?" Wu Yongchuan sighed with emotion as he said, "Thank you. I won't say anything more. If my foster father doesn't leave tonight, I'll treat you to a drink." In fact, he knew what he was thinking, but Luo Changgong and the others didn't. Yang Deng, who was very loyal, said, "Big Brother, you are too polite. Let's stop talking. Let's go in first." Wu Yongchuan was afraid that he would make a mistake if he said too much, so he quickly pulled them inside. Liang Yu did not have much impression of Wu Yongchuan. She just smiled and nodded in greeting. In the main hall of the Wu family, several daughters-in-law of the Wu family were accompanying the old lady. The other men were outside to welcome and see them off. Although the Wu family did not make a big fuss this time, many local tycoons in Haining and Jiaxing still came to pay their respects. After Third Master Wu walked in, the old lady stood up with a smile and said, "Lao San, you are here." Third Master Wu said with a smile, "Old sister, you just need to sit down. Since you called me, how can I not come? Moreover, this is a big event for my brother Wu. I have to come." He was quite approachable in front of this old sister. In the past, this old sister had cooked for him many times. The old lady shook her head and smiled bitterly. "You are a busy man now. I did not want to bother you. Yongchuan just wanted to ask you. He was afraid that if he did not tell you, you would have a problem with it. I did not expect that you would agree." Third Master Wu smiled happily and said, "Old sister, if you say so, it is really a slap in my face. You had to tell me. I also had to come." The old lady held Third Master Wu's arm and said, "It is good that you came. It is good that you came. Your brother Wu also wants to see you. After so many years, you still remember him. He should be very happy." Wu Yongchuan let out a long sigh and said, "I can forget anyone, but how dare I forget my brother Wu? Old sister, without my brother Wu, I would not be here today." At this time, Wu Yongchuan stood up and said, "Mom, let's not talk about the past today. Foster father keeps it in mind. Let him finish his meal first. When we are busy today, you can have a good talk with him." The old lady held Third Master Wu's arm and continued to say, "Third brother, you are not allowed to leave today. I still have a lot to talk with you. If you don't talk with him now, I don't know when we will meet again next time." Originally, Third Master Wu planned to go back to Hangzhou directly after he finished his work. Now that the old lady said so, he was in a dilemma. He had no choice but to say, "Old sister, let's get down to business first. We will talk later." Wu Yongchuan felt a little uneasy in his heart. He had arranged everything. If his foster father did not stay, his plan might fail. What followed was Qin Sheng's complaints and disappointment. Wu Yongchuan was thinking about how to let his old mother continue to put pressure on his foster father. As long as his foster father stayed, it would be okay. The worst result was that he could stay for a while. In a residential house not far away from the Wu family's old house, Chang Baji stared at the movement in this side with a telescope. Everything was under his control. He had completely grasped Third Master Wu's whereabouts, including who was around him. This residential house was provided by Wu Yongchuan. It had the best facilities and could directly observe the situation here. It could be seen that Wu Yongchuan had prepared well. Now they only needed to wait for the night to fall. As long as Third Master Wu did not leave, they could start to take action. Chapter 776. Happy and sad Chang Baji, Yang Dainiu, and the others arrived at the old house of the Wu family in Haining 2 hours earlier than Third Master Wu. They were very secretive. They entered the house quietly, which should be the best place around. They could overlook the whole old house of the Wu family, which was just the right place to verify Wu Yongchuan's map. Meanwhile, they continued to practice their plan to make sure that there would be no deviation. Chang Baji and Yang Dainiu were the leaders of Qin Sheng's team, who were the two most powerful masters. The old monk's team was led by Huang Feng, his bodyguard and driver. The other two were also powerful masters. Huang Feng, who had been keeping a low profile for so many years, was the most powerful one. His target was Chu Xikong, who was the same as Chang Baji. Chang Baji wanted to take revenge for what had happened in Huang Mei Town, while Huang Feng wanted to meet Chu Xikong. This was also the biggest purpose of his trip. It was said that Chu Xikong had never been defeated and no one in Hangzhou was a match for him. However, Huang Feng did not believe it. He wanted to verify it and see who was the number one. Huang Feng also recognized the strength of the people on Qin Sheng's team, especially Chang Baji and Yang Dainiu, who made him somewhat afraid and felt very dangerous. As for the others, they were not weak either. At this moment, they were looking at the lively situation in the old house of the Wu family with binoculars. Yang Dainiu said with some concern, "We already know the terrain of the Wu family like the back of our hand. Now we are afraid that Third Master Wu will not stay here at night. In that case, all our previous efforts will be in vain. It will be too difficult to find a suitable opportunity again." Song Qian, who had been helping the old monk deal with the shady things, frowned and said, "That's true. As long as Third Master Wu does not leave, we will have a great chance. According to what you said, Wu Yongchuan has already arranged things in the old house of the Wu family. We just need to carry out his plan." Chang Baji said thoughtfully, "Wu Yongchuan has already said that he will give us the specific information before 6 o'clock. We just need to wait." Huang Feng nodded silently and said, "Everything is ready. We just need to wait." Huang Feng was very confident about the strength of their team. If this team could not kill Third Master Wu, no one in the whole Yangtze River Delta would be able to kill Third Master Wu. Huang Feng did not believe that Third Master Wu had 3 heads and 6 arms. Except for Chu Xikong, who was more dangerous, the others were not worth mentioning to them at all. Chang Baji looked at Huang Feng and said with a smile, "Old Huang, Chu Xikong is really here. Are you going to deal with him or me? We have to make things clear in advance so that we don't mess things up." Huang Feng replied without hesitation, "Of course I'll do it. I don't care about some things, but it doesn't mean that I won't fight for it. I'll definitely fight for the first place." Chang Baji shrugged as he said, "It seems that there is no room for negotiation between us. How about this? Let's do it this way. Let's be straightforward. After all, we are on a mission this time. We should focus on the mission. Whoever runs into Chu Xikong first will be the one to take care of him. The other one will kill Third Master Wu. If we run into each other at the same time, we will deal with Chu Xikong together to get rid of this trouble, as soon as possible. What do you think? Since Chang Baji had already said so, if Huang Feng continued to insist, it would be a bit inappropriate. After all, the mission was the most important thing. He had no choice but to say, "It's up to you." Yang Dainyu did not know whether to laugh or cry. It did not occur to him that Senior Uncle Chang, who had always been calm, would also be competitive. Although he had lost to Chu Sikong last time, he still wanted to get back at him. Why not just let Huang Feng take the first place? Moreover, had you ever cared about Chu Sikong's feelings? You talked as if you could defeat him. Chu Sikong was known as the #1 expert in Jiangsu and Zhejiang. If you lost at that time, you would be humiliated. Consequently, Yang Dainyu did not bother to fight for these things. He just wanted to finish the mission and go back to Shanghai to sleep as soon as possible. Nowadays, he liked the rhythm of Shanghai more and more. There were so many beautiful young ladies. It was nice to look at them every day. In particular, there were more beautiful ladies around Qinsheng, which was a feast for his eyes. He had never had such an experience before. Yang Dainyu suddenly thought of something and asked, "Senior Uncle, what should we do if we run into Yang Deng?" Of course, Yang Dainyu knew the relationship between Yang Deng and Qinsheng. This time, Yang Deng was also here. If they fought, Yang Deng would definitely risk his life to protect Third Master Wu. Of course, they could not avoid him. Consequently, how should they deal with him? Chang Baji had already consulted Qin Shing about this matter. Qin Shing said that if they really fought, he did not need to avoid anything. As long as he did not kill Yang Deng, it would be fine. That was all he could do. As for how Yang Deng would seek revenge from him later, it was another matter. Consequently, Chang Baji said, "Just do it. Even if you run into Yang Deng, don't show any mercy. Just don't kill him in the end." "Okay, I got it." Yang Dainyu nodded with a smile. Meanwhile, he reminded the others several times in case of any accident. After all, Qin Sheng was indebted to Yang Deng. Basically, everything here was ready. They just needed to wait for Wu Yongchuan's news. They did not want any accidents to happen. After Third Master Wu had lunch in the old house of the Wu family and had a short rest, the sacrificial ceremony of the Wu family continued. At this time, there were not many guests. Third Master Wu participated in the whole process according to the scheduled itinerary. The number of people in the Wu family was also limited. Except for some direct relatives and important figures of the Wu family, the others were all mercilessly asked to leave. Wu Yongchuan did not care about what they would say. After all, he had other goals. It was not until the evening that the ceremony of the Wu family finally came to an end. After dinner, most of the guests had left. The remaining people were just helping the Wu family to clean up the mess. As time went by, there were fewer and fewer people. At this time, the old house of the Wu family was somewhat quiet, not as boisterous as in the daytime. At 6 o'clock, there was still no news from Wu Yongchuan. Not to mention the others, who were somewhat anxious, Chang Baji and Yang Dainyu were also somewhat restless. If Third Master Wu really left, their trip would be in vain. Yang Dainyu could not help but say, "Is Wu Yongchuan reliable?" He said at 6 o'clock, but there is still no reply. "I am afraid that this matter will be in danger." Chang Baji said disapprovingly, "Don't worry. Since he has not called, it means that there is still a chance. Let's wait a little longer. We can't rush him now." The crowd could only continue to wait like this. In the old house of the Wu family, Third Master Wu had already finished his dinner. At this time, he was taking a short rest in the main hall of the Wu family. He was chatting with Wu Yongchuan's old mother and reminiscing about the old days. Wu Yongchuan had been by his side all the time. The rest of the Wu family had already left. Only a few trusted subordinates of Third Master Wu were still there. Wu Yongchuan's old mother sighed with emotion and said, "Third brother, you have worked hard today. If I knew this in the underworld, I would also be gratified." Third Master Wu was somewhat tired. It was unknown whether it was because he had been mentally and physically exhausted recently or because he had walked too much today. He smiled and said, "Sister, you are really too polite. We are not outsiders. You don't have to say that. This is what I should do." Wu Yongchuan's old mother continued to sigh with emotion as she said, "Alas, time really flies. So many years have passed without me noticing. And you are already the third Master Wu, who is known by everyone in the Yangtze River Delta. It really flies so fast." Third Master Wu said thoughtfully, "Yes, it really flies so fast. In the blink of an eye, 20 or 30 years have passed, just like this. I still remember how embarrassed I was when I first arrived in Shanghai. I still remember how Brother Wu brought me into the Wu family. I still remember how my sister cooked for me. It really flies so fast. In the blink of an eye, we have become so old that we can't even remember who we are now." The others did not say anything and let the two old people reminisce about the old days. At this time, they were not qualified to interrupt them. The only one who could interrupt them was Wu Yongchuan. However, Wu Yongchuan was somewhat absent-minded at this time. He had not been sure whether his foster father had left or not. He had not been able to give specific information to the other side. As a result, he felt somewhat anxious. This was already the best opportunity, and he didn't want to miss it just like that. It would be extremely difficult for him to find another opportunity like this. At the moment, Wu Yongchuan was very clear that once he missed this opportunity, what would he miss? He would miss the last chance to make a comeback in his life. As a result, in the afternoon, he had sent a message to his old mother again, hoping that she could work harder. All his hopes depended on his old mother. After his foster father and his old mother chatted for a while, Wu Yongchuan finally could not help saying, "Mom, my foster father has been busy for a whole day. You let him go back to his room and have a rest first. You can have a good chat later. I know you have a lot of things to say to him, but you don't have to be in a hurry." Wu Yongchuan's old mother said with a smile, "Yongchuan is right. Third brother, you go back and have a rest first. I just happened to settle some other things. We can have a good chat later. You are not allowed to leave tonight. I have already asked people to prepare the rooms for you. Anyway, there are many houses in this empty old house. We are not short of places to live. It is rare for it to be so lively," Wu Yongchuan's old mother said with a smile. The old lady really did not think of anything else. She really wanted to have a good chat with Third Master Wu. Moreover, she also wanted to talk about her son. Originally, Third Master Wu had planned to go back to Hangzhou directly after chatting for a while. After all, Haining was not far from Hangzhou. He would arrive in a while. Now that the old lady said so, Third Master Wu was in a dilemma. Third Master Wu had no choice but to bite the bullet and say, "Old sister, you don't have to do this. I will accompany you for a while more. I will go back to Hangzhou directly after a while. I will not disturb you." Upon hearing this, Wu Yongchuan was shocked. He looked at his old mother in a hurry. His old mother said immediately, "Third brother, you can't do this. I still have a lot of things to say to you. You can't leave. Moreover, it is not too late to leave tomorrow. Don't tell me that you, as an old sister, don't even have the face to do this now?" Speaking of this, the old lady pretended to be wronged and said, "Alas, you are right. I thought you were the old third brother in the past. I forgot that you were not the old third brother for a long time. You are Third Master Wu now. Look at those people today. They did not come for me, the old man. It is obvious that they all came for you." Hearing the old lady's words, Third Master Wu's heart softened a little. The Wu family had done so much for him that he really could not ignore it. Otherwise, how could he let go of Wu Yongchuan's betrayal at that time? Consequently, upon hearing her words, Third Master Wu did not know whether to laugh or cry. He said, Okay. Elder sister, I won't leave today. I'll have a good chat with you. In case you don't recognize me as your younger brother in the future. The reason why Third Master Wu made such a decision was that, firstly, he was indeed a little tired and did not want to suffer any more. It would be suitable for him to leave tomorrow morning. Secondly, he had nothing else to do. There was no big movement in Shanghai at the moment. Things in Hangzhou had also stopped. All he needed to do was to wait for the old monk's news. Chu Sikong and the others did not have any objection. Anyway, for them, it was the same wherever they were. They could protect Third Master Wu. In this case, Wu Yongchuan was naturally the happiest one. Upon hearing Third Master Wu's final decision, Wu Yongchuan was pleasantly surprised. It was not an exaggeration to say that his heart was in full bloom. He tried his best to hold back his excitement and calm down his mood, for fear that others would find out some clues. Otherwise, he would be miserable. This was because Wu Yongchuan knew that when his godfather said this, it meant that everything was settled. His godfather's legendary life was about to end in Haining. It was both gratifying and tragic. Reading at midnight. Chapter 777. Start taking action. Summer in the south was relatively hot. It was already June, and the weather was getting hotter and hotter, even at night, which made people restless and unable to sleep. Therefore, the nightlife in summer was more abundant. The Wu family's old house in Haining was located by the lake in this village. This lake was said to be the eye of feng shui in this village. Therefore, the families by the lake were the most successful in the whole village. In fact, they were all the direct and collateral relatives of the Wu family. After all, most of the people in this village had the surname Wu, and Wu Yongchuan's family was the most successful one. Other than during the New Year period, the houses by the lake were almost empty. Most of the time, the entire village was empty. Those who were doing well had gone to the surrounding big cities, and those who weren't doing well had gone out to work. The people who stayed here were the elderly and children. It was only during these few days that the village was bustling. After all, the Wu family's matter was considered a major event in the village. The business of the Wu family finally came to an end. After nightfall, most of the people left. Some went back to the downtown or the surrounding big cities directly. Some stayed in the village with their friends or accompanied their long-lost elders and relatives. There were not many people in the Wu family's old house. After Wu Yongchuan sent Third Master Wu and the others back to their rooms, he went back to his bedroom alone and sent a message to Chang Baji. The message was simple, which was to inform them that Third Master Wu would stay in the Wu family's old house tonight. He had done what he should do, and the rest was up to them. In the house not far away, except for Chang Baji, the others were already impatient. If there was no message, would they have to wait for the whole night? However, they were clear that there was still a chance if there was no message. As long as Third Master Wu did not leave the Wu family's old house, they could only continue to wait. At this time, Chang Baji finally received Wu Yongchuan's message. When he saw the message, he was finally relieved. He took a deep breath and said, "Wu Yongchuan's message is here." Yang Dainyu asked impatiently, "Senior uncle, what's going on? Is there no hope?" Chang Baji glared at Yang Dainyu angrily. If Qin Sheng was not present, Yang Dainyu loved to talk nonsense the most. He did not bother to pay attention to Yang Dainyu. He turned around, looked at Huang Feng and said, "Third Master Wu will not leave tonight. Everything will go according to the plan." When Huang Feng and the others heard this, they were instantly pleasantly surprised. Their efforts were not in vain. Finally, they got the long-awaited news. They were determined to kill Third Master Wu. Anyone could imagine that once they succeeded tonight, the news would definitely shock the entire circle of Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Shanghai tomorrow. The legendary Third Master Wu had fallen. In the old house of the Wu family, Third Master Wu was resting in his room at the moment. This was the room that Wu Yongchuan's grandfather used to live in. Now it was cleaned up by Third Master Wu. When the whole old house of the Wu family was renovated, many new materials were used. Therefore, it was warm in winter and cool in summer. Even in midsummer, one could not feel any heat at all, let alone now. At this moment, all the others were sitting in the room where Third Master Wu lived. Third Master Wu looked at Luo Changgong and asked, "What's the situation in Shanghai now?" After Third Master Wu left Shanghai, he asked Luo Changgong to keep an eye on him. If there was any news, he would report it to Luo Changgong immediately. It could be seen that Luo Changgong's current position was on Third Master Wu's side. It was no wonder that Zhao Shi and the others were jealous. After all, whoever was close to Third Master Wu would have a higher chance of succeeding him in the future. Luo Changgong answered truthfully, "Su Xingwei has returned to Beijing." However, before he left, he took Yan Chaozong to an official banquet. I heard that Qin Xing also attended the banquet with his girlfriend, Lin Su. As expected, they met by chance. The smell of gunpowder is very strong. Third Master Wu said thoughtfully, "Su Xingwei came with bad intentions. I think he must have gone for Qin Xing. Otherwise, how could Yan Chaozong come with him?" He already knew Su Xingwei's identity. Luo Changgong frowned and said, "Foster father, it seems that Su Xingwei has a strong background. This time, he met the people from the Shui family, the Gu family, and the Yen family. However, he didn't contact us. Does he have a bad opinion of us?" Third Master Wu said casually, "I know his background. We have no time to care about Shanghai now. Since he didn't contact us, let's not take the initiative to get close to him. Let's talk about it after the thing in Hangzhou is over." He was somewhat disappointed. He could only say that he did not consider the thing in Shanghai thoroughly this time. Luo Changgong nodded silently and said, "Yes, foster father, you are right. As long as our base camp is stable, it is only a matter of time before we go back to Shanghai." Third Master Wu did not say anything. He just changed the topic and asked, "Is there any news from the old monk?" Luo Changgong was a little worried as he said, "Not yet. I am afraid that the old guy is deliberately mystifying us and suddenly kills us at that time." Third Master Wu did not take it seriously and said, "It is not necessary. You just need to keep a close eye on him. Since he has already spoken, he will meet me sooner or later. He is just putting on airs." At this time, Third Master Wu still did not know about the upcoming danger. He thought that the old monk really wanted to reconcile with him and thought that he knew the old monk very well. At this time, it was already past 8 o'clock. The guests of the Wu family finally left. Except for Wu Yongchuan's immediate relatives and trusted subordinates, the rest of the guests were the old monk's bodyguards and so on. At this time, Wu Yongchuan's old mother walked slowly to the door of Third Master Wu's room with the help of her daughter-in-law and servants. She knocked on the door gently several times. There were bodyguards at the door, so they did not stop her. Wu Yongchuan's wife shouted softly, "Foster father, my mother is here." Third Master Wu stood up in a hurry and walked to the door. At this time, Liang Yu had already opened the door. She nodded to the old lady politely. The old lady smiled and walked into the room. She said with great self-restraint, "I didn't disturb you, did I?" At this time, Third Master Wu had already stood up and walked over. He said with a smile, "Old sister, now you are more and more like an outsider. I still like the old you." The old lady smiled and joked, "You are different. You are Third Master Wu now." Third Master Wu did not know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "That is the title given by others. I am still the old Third Master Wu. Don't make fun of me." It seemed that Third Master Wu also guessed what the old lady wanted to talk about. Otherwise, why would she help him stay? It was because of her son. All mothers in the world loved their sons dearly. However, he also had his own principles. Consequently, it was destined that there would be no result tonight. However, he still had to talk about what he should talk about. He could not pay off the Wu family's kindness in the past. Consequently, at this time, Third Master Wu said to the others, "It is late now. Xikong can stay here. The rest of you can go back and have a rest." After Luo Changgong, Yang Deng, and Liang Yu greeted Third Master Wu, they walked out of the room quietly, leaving the old lady and Third Master Wu alone. Before they left far away, Wu Yongchuan stopped them at this time. He asked with a smile, "Changgong, Yang Deng, do you have anything else to talk about?" Luo Changgong asked confusedly, "Big brother, what's wrong?" "What's wrong?" Wu Yongchuan said calmly, "If you don't have anything else to talk about, accompany me to go out for a drink. I am a little nervous about gambling." Luo Changgong and Yang Deng looked at each other. Indeed, they had nothing else to talk about. However, it did not occur to them that Wu Yongchuan would suddenly invite them to drink. After looking at each other for a while, it seemed that they had figured out what was going on. They could only say, "Okay, we will drink with you." Of course, they did not know why Wu Yongchuan took the initiative to invite them tonight. He had a purpose, which was to lure the tiger away from the mountain. The fewer people around Third Master Wu, the higher the probability of success would be for Changbaji and the others. All in all, in order to kill his foster father, Wu Yongchuan had resorted to all kinds of means. It could be said that he had used all his skills. Luo Changgong and Yang Deng did not think much at all. They agreed naively. Of course, they did not know that their departure would be fatal. In this way, Chu Xikong would be the only one by Third Master Wu's side. Facing the combination of Changbaji, Yang Daniu, and Huang Feng, would Chu Xikong be a match for them? Obviously not. Consequently, Third Master Wu was destined to die tonight. Not to mention Luo Changgong and Yang Deng, maybe even Third Master Wu did not expect that Wu Yongchuan would betray him again and set up such a big trap for him. After all, many years had passed since the last time. Moreover, Wu Yongchuan did not have any strength at all now. Consequently, they took him lightly. However, how could it occur to them that Wu Yongchuan would cooperate with outsiders? Wu Yongchuan saw Liang Yu by his side and said meaningfully, "Liang Yu, if you don't have anything else to talk about, let's go together, shall we?" Liang Yu did not have many interactions with Wu Yongchuan. Moreover, since the three men were drinking, it was better for her not to join them. Consequently, she refused him politely and said, "Big brother, you go ahead. I will take a rest first." In order not to arouse suspicion, Wu Yongchuan did not say anything. He smiled and said, "Okay. Go to bed early." In this way, Wu Yongchuan successfully left the old house of the Wu family with Luo Changgong and Yang Deng. They went to a small town not far from the village to drink. On the way to the small town, Wu Yongchuan, Luo Changgong, and Yang Deng sat in the same car. The driver was driving. Wu Yongchuan and Luo Changgong sat in the back seat, while Yang Deng sat in the front passenger seat. At this time, in order to numb Luo Changgong and Yang Deng, Wu Yongchuan took the initiative to say, "You should have guessed what my mother and my foster father will talk about, right?" Though Luo Changgong and Yang Deng had guessed it, it was not appropriate for them to say anything. After all, the relationship between Wu Yongchuan and his foster father was too complicated. As outsiders, it was not appropriate for them to comment on their gratitude and resentment. Wu Yongchuan continued, "After so many years, I know my foster father still can't let go of what happened in the past. However, I have turned over a new leaf. I just wanted to do something for him. However, he did not believe me. Now, he took back my power in Shanghai, which made my heart ache. I am still young now. Am I going to live a comfortable life like this for thousands of years? You know, I can't do that. Consequently, I asked my mother to help me. I hope my foster father can give me another chance." Luo Changgong comforted him as he said, "Big brother, I believe my foster father has already let go of what happened in the past. He will definitely give you another chance." Wu Yongchuan sighed with emotion as he said, "Well, I hope so. This is the last time I try. If my foster father still doesn't believe me, I will leave this circle completely in the future. We will not contact each other anymore. Consequently, this may be the last time we drink together." Luo Chonggong and Yang Deng tried to persuade him in a hurry as they said, "Big brother, don't be like this." Wu Yongchuan waved his hands as he said, "I hope it won't be like this. Don't say anything else tonight. Drink with me. I haven't drunk with you for a long time." Luo Chonggong and Yang Deng could tell that Wu Yongchuan was in a bad mood. They had no choice but to promise him that they would drink with him. However, they did not know that when Wu Yongchuan left the old house of the Wu family, several of his trusted subordinates had already started to take action. After midnight, they would remind the rest of the Wu family that no matter what happened in the old house of the Wu family that night, all the members of the Wu family should not take any action. As time went by, it was getting late. Third Master Wu and the old lady were still chatting. Wu Yongchuan was also drinking in the small town. As for Chang Baji and the others, they finally started to take action. Chapter 778. Unexpected. It was almost time. After Chang Baji, Huang Feng, and the others confirmed that their plan was flawless, they finally began to move. The 10 of them were divided into 3 groups. Chang Baji, Yang Daniu, and Huang Feng each led a group. They left the residential building at different times and headed for the Wu family's old house. Wu Yongchuan had already arranged for his trusted subordinates to support them in the Wu family's old house. If they still failed to kill Third Master Wu, it could only be said that Third Master Wu was not destined to die. At night, the old house of the Wu family was not as lively as it was in the daytime. On the contrary, it was a bit gloomy. Third Master Wu's bodyguards were distributed around the courtyard where they lived, while Wu Yongchuan's bodyguards were distributed in the outer courtyard of the Wu family. At this moment, Third Master Wu was still chatting with the old lady. The old lady had made her purpose clear. That was, she hoped that Third Master Wu could use Wu Yongchuan again for the sake of the Wu family's previous kindness. This should be the first time that the old lady had spoken directly. Although Third Master Wu had already thought of a reason to refuse, he was somewhat hesitant. He did not have the heart to say it directly. After all, the old lady was not someone else. If you think you can do it, just nod and agree to give Yongchuan another chance. After so many years, he has already realized his mistake. If you don't want to agree, just tell me directly. I won't blame you, and he will understand," the old lady said earnestly. She was also very worried about her son. After all, she knew how her son had been all these years. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed to help him this time. Although the old lady said so, Third Master Wu did not think so. Did he really think that the old lady was so simple? After all, she was the daughter of a noble family. Back then, she was Wu Yongchuan's father's good wife. She helped him deal with a lot of things. She was very meticulous in dealing with people. Even he admired her. However, so many years had passed. Many people had already forgotten the story of that year. However, Third Master Wu had not forgotten it. At that time, after Wu Yongchuan's father had died in an accident, if the old lady had not dealt with these trifles, Wu Yongchuan, who was still very young, would have collapsed a long time ago. Third Master Wu shook his head and sighed bitterly as he said, "Sister, I know that so many years have passed and Wu Yongchuan wants to work for me now. I don't have any opinion on this. However, those people below me have a lot of opinions. If this is really the case, my circle will be in a mess in the future. Hence, I still hope that you can understand me." Third Master Wu shook his head and sighed bitterly. It could be considered that he had made a good gesture. What he said was also sincere. The old lady said disapprovingly, "Who? Aren't they just your foster sons? Do you think you don't know what they are thinking? As long as you say the word, won't they listen to you? Chu Sikong was listening at the side. The old lady was somewhat aggressive tonight. She insisted on Third Master Wu to give a clear answer. If Third Master Wu did not agree, it seemed that the old lady would not give up. Although she said it in a relaxed manner, her words were very unforgiving. Third Master Wu continued to decline as he said, "Sister, if it were in normal times, they would listen to whatever I say. However, I really can't do it these days. I don't know if you have heard about the disturbance outside. Now I am in a very bad situation. I have to rely on them to work for me. If I agree at this time, I am afraid that no one will be willing to work for me. The family business that I have built up with so many difficulties over the years will be destroyed in a day." The old lady had not heard anything. Moreover, she had never cared about these things. Wu Yongchuan had not said anything to her. Consequently, the old lady said bluntly, "Third Master, do you mean that you refuse? Alas, Third Master Wu, our Wu family treated you well in the past, right?" Third Master Wu had a headache. He was afraid that the old lady would bring up these things. If she really did that, he could not do anything about it. At that time, if the old lady had not pleaded for him, he would have killed Wu Yongchuan. Third Master Wu smiled bitterly as he said, "Sister, how could I forget these things? Without your Wu family, I would not be here today. However, sister, you have to think about me." Indeed, the old lady was not as calm as usual tonight. The old lady let out a long sigh as she said, "Alas, the tea cools when the person is gone. This world is really like this. If my old man had not died, our Wu family would have been very prosperous now. In that case, we would not have been bullied by others." Third Master Wu really could not do anything about this old lady. It was the most difficult debt to pay back. He could only say, "Sister, how about this? After this period is over, I will find a chance to let him out. If there is no big reaction from him, I will consider letting him come back. What do you think?" The old lady said doubtfully, "Are you sure?" Third Master Wu found it funny as he said, "Sister, how could I lie to you? At that time, I will have a talk with him." This matter was finally settled. The old lady said goodbye and left with satisfaction. Although it was not announced now, there was finally a result. She had waited for so many years. It was not a big deal to wait a little longer. After the old lady left, Chu Sikong asked confusedly, "Third Master, if you really let Wu Yongchuan come back, are you really not afraid that he will make the same mistake again?" Third Master Wu took a sip of tea and said disdainfully, "Now is not the same as before. Even if he has this idea, does he have the ability to do so? Zhao Shi is not a vegetarian. Even if he comes back, he will not get up. Let's do it this way." Chu Sikong was somewhat worried. He still did not quite believe in Wu Yongchuan. He could only say, "Since the third master has decided, it is not good for us to say anything." After chatting with Third Master Wu for a while, Chu Sikong directly went back to his room to rest. His room was next to Third Master Wu's. In this way, he could protect Third Master Wu at any time. In a restaurant in the small town, it was opened by one of Wu Yongchuan's childhood friends. The main dishes were all local dishes from Haining, which tasted good and had a good business. Every time Wu Yongchuan came back in these years, he would come here to eat and drink and catch up with the old days. Now the children of this friend were also working in Shanghai. Naturally, it was Wu Yongchuan who helped them solve their problems. Moreover, the treatment was quite good. No matter how bad Wu Yongchuan's life was, it depended on who he was compared with. Compared with these ordinary people, Wu Yongchuan was naturally very powerful. Many things that were difficult to do in the eyes of outsiders were just a matter of a word for Wu Yongchuan. In the private room, there were no outsiders except Wu Yongchuan, Luo Changgong, and Yang Deng. The drivers and bodyguards were all waiting in the cars by the roadside. When the time came, they could send them home safely. After talking about some unimportant things, Wu Yongchuan began to complain about how hard it had been for him for so many years. In the beginning, he had been deceived by outsiders. In addition, he had been possessed. That was why those things had happened. He had been regretting it all these years. After that, he kept drinking, as if he would not go home until he was drunk tonight. Luo Changgong and Yang Deng could only comfort and persuade him. However, Wu Yongchuan could not stop. He asked them to continue drinking. They could see that Wu Yongchuan was very bitter, so they could only drink with him. Luo Changgong took the initiative to say, "Big brother, drink less. It's almost time. We should go back." Originally, he had something to do in Hangzhou tonight. However, since his foster father had decided not to go back, he could only put it off until tomorrow. Consequently, he had to go back early in the morning tomorrow. Wu Yongchuan was a good drinker. This little amount of alcohol could not do anything to him at all. However, he had to keep Luo Changgong and Yang Deng busy. He could not let them go back until Chang Baji and the others finished their business. Consequently, Wu Yongchuan continued to play dumb. "What? Even you look down on me, don't you? It's been a long time since we last drank. How about getting drunk with me once?" Yang Deng did not think too much about it. Moreover, he had been thinking about Wu Yongchuan's kindness. He said with a strong sense of brotherhood, "Big brother, I'll drink with you." Luo Changgong smiled bitterly. "Big brother, we don't look down on you. It's just that you are not in the limelight recently. I'm afraid that I will make mistakes if I drink too much. Moreover, my foster father has arranged a lot of things tomorrow. How about we drink later?" Wu Yongchuan said disapprovingly, "What things? Isn't it just the old monk's matter? Don't think that I don't know. The old monk has promised to reconcile with you. What else do you want to do now?" Luo Changgong could see that Wu Yongchuan could not persuade him no matter what. Was he going to turn against him? Consequently, he could only keep drinking with Wu Yongchuan and get him drunk first. At the same time, the three groups led by Chang Baji, Yang Dainiu, and Huang Feng had arrived at the old house of the Wu family one after another. At the same time, the surroundings of the old house of the Wu family had been controlled by other people they had arranged beforehand. There was a side door in the old house of the Wu family. The trusted subordinate sent by Wu Yongchuan had been waiting for them for a long time. After hearing the 3 knocks on the door as agreed, the man made sure that there was no outsider over and over again. After that, he opened the side door slowly. Chang Baji and the others entered the old house of the Wu family quietly at night. The man asked in a low voice, "Mr. Chang?" Chang Baji nodded silently. Then he asked, "Where are the things you have prepared?" Since Wu Yongchuan had arranged such an important task for this man, of course, he was absolutely trustworthy. He took out a map of the old house of the Wu family unhurriedly, which was the same as the one used by Chang Baji and the others. However, the location of 3rd Master Wu and his bodyguards was clearly marked on the map. After Chang Baji saw the map clearly, he was quite satisfied. He thought that Wu Yongchuan was cautious and reliable. He did not know why he had failed in the past. Maybe he was unlucky. Chang Baji, Huang Feng, and Yang Dainiu confirmed their plan again. After a few minutes, the 3 of them looked at each other and said at the same time, "Let's do it." As a result, Chang Baji, Huang Feng, and Yang Dainiu led their team members in 3 different directions, which were also 3 passages that could lead to 3rd Master Wu's location. Yang Dainiu's task was to distract and get rid of 3rd Master Wu's bodyguards. As for Chang Baji and Huang Feng, they went straight to the point, which was to kill Chu Sikong and 3rd Master Wu. When Chang Baji and the others started to take action, Wu Yongchuan's trusted subordinates had already controlled the rest of the Wu family. They did not want to disturb these people and disrupt the plan tonight because of the loud noises they made. At 1 o'clock in the morning, 3rd Master Wu had already gone to bed. He had a regular schedule and seldom went to bed late. However, he still did not sense that the crisis had come quietly. In the room next door, Chu Sikong had always been vigilant. At this time, the subtle noises outside finally alerted him. Chu Sikong frowned slightly and stood up. After listening carefully, it seemed that there was no movement outside. However, he was still worried. In the end, he walked out of the room slowly. When Chu Sikong pushed open the door, he saw a man standing not far away, waiting for him quietly. Chu Sikong had never expected to see Chu Sikong. This man was none other than Chang Baji, who had arrived first. Huang Feng was a little slower. Chapter 779. One against two. In the dark night, the old house was gloomy. The breeze was gentle, but it could not drive away the heat of midsummer. Chang Baji stood still in the small courtyard and looked at Chu Sikong, who was not far away, with a calm face. All the bodyguards of Third Master Wu in the courtyard had been killed by others. The whole courtyard was empty, but no one knew what had happened just now. Chu Sikong was slightly absent-minded. It had never occurred to him that Chang Baji would suddenly appear in front of him. After pondering for a short while, Chu Sikong had already figured out what was going on. Obviously, Chang Baji had come here for Third Master Wu. Otherwise, could it be that he had come here to catch up with him? "It's you," Chu Sikong said coldly. Meanwhile, he looked around quietly. Those bodyguards had disappeared. Chu Sikong did not think that they had all gone to rest. In just a few seconds, Chu Sikong had already understood their situation. Since Chang Baji could stand here so confidently, it meant that they had already reached the most dangerous moment. Chu Sikong had no time to think about what was going on. He only had one task now, which was to protect Third Master Wu. However, Chu Sikong still did not know what had happened to Third Master Wu in the next room. Had he been killed? Chang Baji said with a smile, "Yes, it's me, Mr. Chu. I haven't seen you for a long time. How have you been?" Chu Sikong and Chang Baji were not old friends, let alone friends. It seemed that it was not appropriate to say that they were enemies. It could only be said that different people could not make plans together. They stood on different sides. "Are you here to kill Third Master?" Chu Sikong frowned and asked. He really did not know how this man had stood here quietly. Where were the others? Chang Baji did not deny it. He said, "Mr. Chu, do you still need to ask? When Third Master Wu refused us, this day was already doomed. It was just a matter of time. Previously, we had no time to deal with Third Master Wu. Now I'm here to kill him." Chu Sikong did not refute him with a long speech. He just said, "If you want to kill Third Master Wu, you have to pass through me first." Right at this moment, Huang Feng, who had followed Chu Sikong closely, finally arrived. He happened to hear Chu Sikong's words, so he said rudely, "Mr. Chu, how arrogant you are! Do you really think that you are the most powerful man in Jiangsu and Zhejiang?" Chu Sikong looked in that direction subconsciously. When he saw that it was Huang Feng, he was shocked again. How could he not know Huang Feng? They knew the old monk's situation better than anyone else. Naturally, they knew who Huang Feng was. However, why would Huang Feng appear here? Anyone could tell that Huang Feng and Chang Baji were together. Therefore, the next second, Chu Sikong woke up with a start because he had figured out a big conspiracy, which was enough to make them die without a burial place. Before Chu Sikong came to his senses, Huang Feng looked at Chang Baji and said in a deep voice, "Lao Chang, can you hand Chu Sikong over to me? I owe you a favor." Chang Baji frowned slightly. When they had been in Huang Mei Town, he had been defeated by Chu Sikong because he had been injured and almost killed Qin Sheng. If it had not been for that, Gu Qingyang would not have died. Chang Baji had always felt guilty about it. Therefore, he had been waiting for this day. However, Chang Baji was a little hesitant when he heard Huang Feng's words. After thinking for a while, Chang Baji finally put the task first and said directly, "Since you are so persistent, I will hand him over to you." After that, Chang Baji took a few steps back and left the scene to Huang Feng. He went straight to Third Master Wu's bedroom. Huang Feng looked at Chu Xikong, who had not come to his senses yet, and said with a faint smile, "Mr. Chu, people say that you are the most powerful man in Jiangsu and Zhejiang, and you have never tasted defeat in dozens of years. Today, I want to learn from each other and hope that you can give me some advice." Chu Xikong had figured out what was going on. That was, the old monk might have colluded with Qin Sheng a long time ago. What the old monk had done to them during this period of time might have been discussed with Qin Sheng beforehand. This was just a trap. However, there were still some things that he had not figured out. It was a pity that Chang Baji and Huang Feng did not give him a chance, because Chang Baji had already gone to Third Master Wu's room, which meant that Third Master Wu was fine. Therefore, Chu Xikong would stop Chang Baji even if he had to risk his life. Therefore, Chu Xikong did not talk nonsense anymore. He rushed to Chang Baji with strong killing intent. He would never allow anyone to hurt the Third Master under his nose. At the same time, when Chu Xikong started to attack, Huang Feng, who had been eager to have a try, also took action. He did not believe that Chu Xikong was so powerful that he could fight against two people at the same time. Outside the yard where Third Master Wu was, the others were cleaning up the mess. They were not too unscrupulous. They just injured, knocked out, and tied up Third Master Wu's bodyguards. Otherwise, if too many people died here, it would be too noisy. However, Yang Dainyu was not finished yet, because he ran into Liang Yu, the female killer in Cheongsam. She was not a kind person, not to mention that they were in a life-and-death situation. Therefore, Liang Yu put a lot of pressure on Yang Dainyu. She directly entangled Yang Dainyu, which made Yang Dainyu somewhat angry. After Wu Yongchuan invited Luo Changgong and Yang Deng out for a drink, Liang Yu, who was not sleepy at all, wandered around the old house of the Wu family. She was quite interested in this kind of ancient architecture. Every time she traveled in the past, she would take a lot of photos of it. After all, some parts of the old house of the Wu family had traces of the Huizhou architecture. After walking around the old house of the Wu family, Liang Yu went back to her room to have a rest. Lying on the bed, she was watching an American TV series that had a small audience. Compared with those melodramatic domestic TV series, Liang Yu, like many people, preferred the American TV series and the British TV series that were more imaginative. It was not until she heard the noise outside that Liang Yu ran out of her room. She happened to run into Yang Dainyu, who had just killed a bodyguard. Without thinking too much, Liang Yu directly attacked the uninvited guest, Yang Dainyu. It did not occur to Yang Dainyu that he would run into Liang Yu here. Wu Yongchuan's information had told him about Liang Yu's strength. Therefore, Yang Dainyu did not underestimate her. Moreover, he always did his best. Therefore, the two of them started to fight in this way. After several rounds, although Yang Dainyu suffered a little loss, he was already familiar with Liang Yu's tricks. Even Bao Fan could escape from Liang Yu's hands. How could Yang Dainyu lose to Liang Yu? However, the fight with Huang Jin that night had caused him some injuries. Until now, he had not fully recovered. This was also the reason why Chang Baji asked him to clean up the periphery, in case of any accidents. Compared with Yang Dainyu, Liang Yu had been seriously injured. It did not occur to her that this man could be so powerful. After all, she did not know Yang Dainyu well, and did not have any contact with him. That was why she was like this. After stopping, Yang Dainyu said angrily, "You are no match for me. If you don't want to die, be sensible." He did not want to hit a woman, let alone a beautiful one. However, if Liang Yu asked for a snub, she should not blame him for being rude. Liang Yu said angrily, "Who the hell are you? What are you doing here?" Yang Dainyu said playfully, "Who the hell am I? If you have a chance, you can ask Third Master Wu later. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that you will not have such a chance. I guess Third Master Wu is dead now. Therefore, don't seek your own death." You want to kill Third Master? Liang Yu was a little shocked. At this time, she seemed to have heard the noise in the courtyard next door. She was a little anxious. Yang Dania laughed and said, "It seems that you are not stupid. Who said that women with big breasts have no brains?" After saying that, Yang Dania looked at Liang Yu's impressive breasts subconsciously. He had to admit that this woman's body was indeed hot. However, it seemed that she had a bad temper. She was not likable at all. Liang Yu, who had already felt Yang Dania's hot eyes, said angrily, "You are courting death." Moreover, she had already known this man's purpose and guessed that he was not the only one. Therefore, Liang Yu wanted to kill this man quickly and go over to help Third Master. She wondered if Yang Deng and the others had come back. Before her voice died away, Liang Yu dashed at Yang Daniu again and kicked him several times in a row. Yang Daniu took 2 steps back calmly. At the same time, he reached out to stop Liang Yu's attack. Then, he grabbed Liang Yu's slender and beautiful legs and threw her far away. She was thrown to the ground heavily. Yang Daniu did not give Liang Yu a chance to take a breath and rushed over. When Liang Yu just stood up, Yang Daniu was already in front of her. He punched Liang Yu's shoulder. If Liang Yu was not a woman, this punch would go straight to her chest. Liang Yu staggered 2 steps back and responded to Yang Daniu with her teeth clenched. The two of them fought again. Liang Yu was defeated every time. In the end, Yang Daniu did not want to waste any more time. He did not want to give Liang Yu any more chances. Although this woman was very difficult to deal with, as long as Yang Daniu wanted to, he could immediately kill Liang Yu, who was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Therefore, when Liang Yu dashed over again, Yang Daniu deliberately showed a flaw this time. When Liang Yu grabbed his waist, he directly hit the back of Liang Yu's head with his elbow. The strength of this elbow was powerful enough. No matter how strong Liang Yu's resistance was, she was hit by Yang Daniu and felt dizzy in an instant. After all, this was a relatively weak part of the human body. Before Liang Yu came to herself, Yang Daniu's next punch followed closely. This time, Liang Yu had no chance and directly passed out. Yang Daniu glanced at Liang Yu, who was lying on the ground, and let out a long sigh. This time, the task given to him was too simple. It was to clean up these small fries in the periphery. They were not a match for him at all. The only one who was a little difficult to deal with was this woman. He did not know how Senior Uncle was doing. Compared with the small scene outside, the yard where Third Master Wu was in was a big scene. In the end, it was Chang Baji who fought with Chu Xikong first. However, Huang Feng was behind him. Therefore, the domineering Chu Xikong could only fight with 2 people at the same time. In the bedroom, such a big noise outside had already woken up Third Master Wu. When he found that there was no signal on his phone, he was completely relieved. Then, he slowly got out of bed and sat at the table silently. He poured himself a cup of tea unhurriedly and waited for the result quietly. Chapter 780. Waiting for the news. This time, Qin Xing had been planning for a long time to deal with Third Master Wu. From persuading Wu Yongchuan to betray him to asking the old monk to put pressure on him and finally making it a reality, Qin Xing had spent a lot of time and effort. If he still could not kill Third Master Wu, then Third Master Wu would be too tough. At this moment, after Liang Yu fell down, except for Chu Xikong, the periphery of Third Master Wu's courtyard had been occupied. Unless Luo Changgong and Yang Deng, who were drinking, arrived in time, Third Master Wu's death would be doomed tonight. No one could save him. Chu Xikong took the lead to launch an attack. He suddenly exerted his strength and strode toward Chang Baji. He wanted to stop Chang Baji from entering Third Master Wu's room. At first, Chang Baji ignored Chu Xikong and walked toward Third Master Wu's room unhurriedly. He would not be relieved until Third Master Wu was killed by him. Then, he would give Qin Xing an explanation. At this moment, Chang Baji felt the danger coming from behind. When Chu Sikong approached Chang Baji's back, Chang Baji, who had been waiting for a long time, suddenly turned around and punched. This punch contained all of Chang Baji's strength. It was extremely fast, leaving no chance for Chu Sikong. Chu Sikong could feel the killing intent of this punch. Obviously, the strength of this punch was much stronger than when he met Chang Baji last time. He did not choose to meet it head-on, but chose to avoid it. In the past half a year, Chang Baji did not relax because of Qin Shing's rising status. He was very clear that with the change of Qin Shing's identity, he would meet more powerful opponents in the future, who were far more powerful than before. Moreover, what happened to Chu Sikong last time had sounded the alarm for him. Chang Baji did not dare to be careless. There was always someone stronger than him. He was not an immortal in the almighty all-embracing heaven, nor did he have no opponents. Only by becoming stronger and stronger could he avoid the previous situation and escape unscathed every time he fought with someone. However, Chang Baji's efforts were not known by others. Even Qin Shing rarely saw when Chang Baji became stronger. So, it was not surprising that Chu Sikong was a little shocked. However, Chu Sikong was not an ordinary person after all. After he dodged Chang Baji's attack, he did not stop. Instead, he attacked Chang Baji again. He aimed his palm at Chang Baji's lower ribs, which was the most vulnerable part of Chang Baji. Chang Baji was not easy to deal with, either. It was like a fight between immortals. They could use all kinds of magic weapons to fight back and forth, but neither of them would be killed instantly or crushed. Chang Baji calmly used his arm to block Chu Sikong's wrist, making it difficult for Chu Sikong to move. It was impossible for him to take another step forward. After that, Chang Baji quietly exerted his strength and hit Chu Sikong's abdomen. He was so powerful that Chu Sikong frowned slightly. He pulled Chang Baji's arm and pressed Chang Baji's knee. At the same time, he suddenly hit Chang Baji's neck with his elbow. Chang Baji hurriedly stepped back, and the elbow brushed Chang Baji's neck. Chang Baji took advantage of this opportunity to push Chu Sikong away directly and widen the distance between him and Chu Sikong. He did not want to fight with Chu Sikong. Since he had promised Huang Feng, he would let Huang Feng handle Chu Sikong. His target was Third Master Wu. At this time, Huang Feng had already approached Chu Sikong. He did not give Chu Sikong any chance to take a breather. Chu Sikong had no chance to chase after Chang Baji. That was because Huang Feng was as powerful as Chang Baji. Since Huang Feng dared to challenge him, the #1 martial artist in the Jiangsu and Zhejiang, it was obvious that Huang Feng was not simple. Chu Sikong knew Huang Feng before. He heard that Huang Feng was one of the two most dangerous people around the old monk. One was the old monk's butler, who seldom fought because of his old age. The other was the old monk's driver. Although he only fought a few times, he had never failed. Moreover, he had protected the old monk to get through difficulties several times. Now, Chu Sikong was finally going to fight with Huang Feng. This was the real purpose of Huang Feng's trip. As for Chu Sikong, he might be interested in fighting with Huang Feng in normal times. But now, he was very unwilling to face this man. Even if he was unwilling to face Huang Feng, he had to face Chang Baji. If he could not deal with Huang Feng, he would not be able to face Chang Baji. If he could not face Chang Baji, he would not be able to save the third master. Huang Feng was very powerful and had a solid foundation. It was impossible for Chu Sikong to defeat Huang Feng easily. So, the result of this night had been determined. Chu Sikong wanted to stop Chang Baji, but Huang Feng had already kicked his back. Chu Sikong turned his head and dodged Huang Feng's kick without hesitation, as if he had eyes on his back. At the same time, he punched Huang Feng's chest. Huang Feng sneered. He looked very excited at this moment, which was totally different from his usual look. It could be seen that he was very interested in Chu Xikong. Huang Feng was not worried at all. He blocked Chu Xikong's punch easily. At the same time, he punched Chu Xikong several times in a row. It did not occur to Chu Xikong that Huang Feng could be so sharp. After he stood firm, he could only defend himself tirelessly. After all, he had not fought with Huang Feng before. Wing Chun. Chu Xikong could see through Huang Feng's tricks easily. Huang Feng chuckled and said, "It's just a small trick. I dare not show off in front of an expert. I hope Mr. Chu can teach me how to behave. Otherwise, I will be very disappointed." Although Chu Xikong's opponent was Huang Feng, he was paying attention to Chang Baji. At this moment, Chang Baji had already walked a few steps. When he was about to reach the door of Third Master Wu, Chu Xikong smiled at Huang Feng and said, "Really? Come on." After saying that, Chu Xikong did not rush toward Huang Feng. Instead, he dashed toward Chang Baji, who was not far away. Huang Feng had expected that Chu Xikong would do that. Consequently, he blocked Chu Xikong's way again and kicked Chu Xikong's chest. Chu Xikong directly blocked Huang Feng's leg with both of his hands. After taking 2 steps back, he suddenly exerted his strength and pushed Huang Feng out. Then he jumped up and followed Huang Feng by kicking his shoulder. Huang Feng dodged it in a hurry. When he was about to fight back, Chu Xikong had rushed toward Chang Baji again. Huang Feng was furious. "You don't take me seriously?" Consequently, Huang Feng blocked Chu Xikong again after Chu Xikong had only taken a few steps. Chang Baji seemed to understand what Chu Xikong wanted to do. He sneered and said, "Mr. Chu, we are all clear about your strength. If Huang Feng and I join hands, you are no match for us at all, let alone saving Third Master Wu. If you die at that time, Third Master Wu will have no chance at all." In the end, Chang Baji said calmly, "Therefore, if you want to save Third Master Wu, you'd better get rid of Huang Feng first and then me. That's the best way. I'm afraid that you won't have this chance." After saying that, Chang Baji directly pushed open the door of Third Master Wu's room and strode in. Everything had been settled. Chu Xikong had no chance at all, and Third Master Wu had no chance to turn the tables. Chu Xikong was so anxious that he realized what might happen. At the cost of taking 2 punches from Huang Feng, he rushed to Chang Baji again. However, Huang Feng was like a dog-skin plaster, who did not give him any chance at all. Chu Xikong became more and more worried and anxious. He had already begun to panic. In number 1 Zhongliang Ocean View in Shanghai, Qin Xing did not go home after he got off work tonight. He went to Xia Ding's home first after picking up Lin Su. That was because for Xia Ding, today was a happy day. He was engaged. It was very sudden and unexpected. Not to mention Qin Xing, perhaps no one expected it to be so fast. Of course, the girl who was engaged was the girl who Qin Xing had seen, who was not stunning but very good-looking. Therefore, Xia Ding made such a scene and asked Qin Xing to come over to celebrate. In addition, Yu Kefi, who was far away in Nanjing, also came over with his fiancée. After all, this was a big deal. At this moment, Xia Ding's girlfriend, Qin Qin, was chatting with Lin Su and Yu Kefi's fiancé in the living room. The 3 beauties were from similar families, so they had a lot of topics to talk about. They were talking and laughing and seemed to be very congenial. Qin Xing, Xia Ding, and Yu Kefi were sitting on the balcony outside, drinking and chatting. Looking at the night view on both sides of the Huangpu River, the 3 brothers were very emotional. "Our playboy has finally changed his mind. Congratulations!" Yu Kefi joked with a smile. "Why is he willing to change his mind? When you said you were engaged, I was stunned for a long time before I accepted this fact." Xia Ding sighed and said, "I'm not young anymore. It's time to change my mind. What's more, my parents are also old, and it's time to let them rest assured. A very smart girl who is willing to pretend to be stupid for you. If you miss it, you will really miss it. What's more, I really like her, not because my family introduced her to be a good match. It seems that this time you have changed your mind? Yukefi continued to joke. Xia Ding laughed and scolded. What do you mean by this time I have changed my mind? I'm already engaged. Do you think I have changed my mind? Brothers, just wait to drink my wedding wine. Qin Shing smiled and said nothing. Several people in the dormitory were now married. In the blink of an eye, they were in their 30s. No one thought it would be so fast. At this time, Yukefi looked at Qin Shing and said, Boss, we are almost ready. When are you going to get married? If not, the four of us will get married together, ha 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 ha. Qin Shing smiled and said, It will happen sooner or later. When I finish these trivial things at home, I should also get married. Maybe it will be faster than you. Ha ha ha, we don't believe it. If you have the ability, you can get married tomorrow. Beauty Lin is so excellent. Boss, don't let her down, Xia Ding said happily. This was the first time that Yukefi met Lin Su. Although he had heard Xia Ding talk about Beauty Lin before he met her, he was still a little worried. If it was the previous Qin Shing, it might be nothing, but now Qin Shing was different from the past. When Xia Ding told him about Qin Shing's background, Yukefi was also shocked. Therefore, after seeing Lin Su today, Yukefi was completely relieved. Lin Su was worthy of Qin Shing. No wonder Xia Ding was a little envious and jealous. Qin Shing said thoughtfully, How is it possible? I hope we all get better and better. Come on. Xia Ding took the initiative to pick up the cup, and the brothers laughed and drank up. At this time, Qin Shing subconsciously looked at the time. The matter of Haining should be coming to an end soon. He was waiting for this news now. Chapter 781. The curtain call of a legend. The original group of 4 people in the Fudan dormitory had now entered the right track of life. Except for Qin Shing, the weirdo, Yukefi had changed the most among the others. He had the best family background and was the most low-key in school. The others always took care of him. He was like a little brother who could not grow up and was not willing to grow up. Perhaps his family had protected him well since he was a child. Until he went to college, Yukefi was still very simple. So the simple Yukefi was hurt by the so-called love. This love was mixed with material and reality, and finally left him bruised and bruised. He had to face the society. Qin Shing did not know whether the girl who had missed out on Yukefi would regret it. Maybe they had never contacted each other again. Maybe even she herself did not know what she had missed. Maybe she was just an ordinary woman now. It was just that she had personally broken the most real Yukefi and made him become what he was today. Today, although Yukefi was very mature and excellent, he could talk and laugh with business partners or competitors, and he could also behave calmly on any occasion, but no one knew whether he was happy or not. Maybe now he was only willing to let others see him, and the real him was completely hidden by him. So in college, Qin Shing liked Yukefi, but now he liked Xia Ding more, because Xia Ding was still the same Xia Ding. He had not changed at all, and he was more real than anyone else. In the first few times they met, Qin Shing did not feel too much. It was not until Yukefi came to Shanghai with his fiancée that Qin Shing really understood. Because Yukefi did not like this girl at all. Although she was very beautiful and excellent, and did not lose to any woman, for Yukefi, maybe this woman was just suitable. Just suitable, it was that simple. Compared with Yukefi, Xia Ding was more real, because Qin Shing could see that Xia Ding liked Qin, which could not be hidden. If he did not like her, with Xia Ding's bad temper, it was impossible for him to get engaged so soon. Therefore, Yukefi's wedding date had been pushed back. It was really possible that Xia Ding would get married earlier than him. Wasn't this a little ridiculous? The playboy, who used to be the most playboy, became the first man among them to enter the siege of marriage. There was nothing to say about the geographical location of number 1 Zhongliang Ocean View. So sitting on this balcony, they could have a panoramic view of both sides of the Huangpu River. The three men were a little dizzy after drinking so much that they began to talk casually. Yukefi had already taken the initiative to talk about the Qin family. Xia Ding frowned slightly but did not say anything. Qin Xing responded absent-mindedly, still worried about Haining. People change, but some people become better and better, some people become worse and worse, some people become less and less like themselves, and some people become more and more suitable for this society. In the living room, 3 women from rich families were drinking red wine and chatting happily. The topic was basically led by Lin Su. Although Qin did not speak much, she was very good at expressing herself and knew what to say. In contrast, Yukefi's girlfriend was slightly worse. Anyway, in fact, the 3 women were most concerned about the 3 men outside. At least they all liked the man who loved them. In the old house of the Wu family in Haining, when the peripheral troubles were solved, in fact, everything had come to an end. Huang Feng did not give Chu Xikong any chance at all. Chu Xikong, who was multitasking, could not resist Huang Feng's offensive. If he continued like this, it was only a matter of time before he lost to Huang Feng. When Chang Baji pushed open the door of Third Master Wu's room, Chu Xikong, who had all his thoughts on Chang Baji, was finally in a mess. He was kicked out by Huang Feng and fell heavily to the ground. He had not been so embarrassed for a long time. After Chu Xikong got up, he rushed out again. His target was still not Huang Feng, but Chang Baji, who had already stepped into Third Master Wu's room. However, Huang Feng stopped in front of Chu Xikong again and stared at him with a smile. Huang Feng didn't think that even if he won, it would be unfair. He just wanted to learn from Chu Xikong and see how powerful Chu Xikong was. Of course, he wouldn't forget the purpose of their trip. He was very clear about which side was more important. Chang Baji pushed open the door and entered. Third Master Wu had been waiting for a long time. It was unknown when he had turned on the light and heard the noise outside. However, he was old and could not do anything. When Third Master Wu saw Chang Baji, he knew what the result would be. He seemed to be relieved and did not want to continue to struggle. He had experienced too many storms and waves in the past few years. It was already lucky for him to live to this day. Although he did not expect that he would die here in the end, he had thought about this result many years ago. Therefore, he was not afraid of death. Chang Baji walked over slowly and said, "Third Master Wu, I'm here to send you to hell." Is he Qin Sheng's man? Third Master Wu had already recognized Chang Baji, who was the most powerful man under Qin Sheng's command. Since he was standing here, he really had no hope. Chang Baji said calmly, "It seems that Third Master Wu knows me. I'm so honored. Do you have anything to say at the last moment? What else do you want to tell me?" Third Master Wu was as calm as a cucumber. He did not panic or beg for mercy. He said with a smile, "A master once told me that my horoscope is not compatible with Shanghai. I didn't believe it. Now I finally believe it. Back then, I was embarrassed when I left Shanghai. Now I will die here because I returned to Shanghai. Shanghai is really my Achilles heel. Maybe this is my fate. Is that all?" Chang Baji frowned slightly. He did not want to listen to Third Master Wu's nagging. If it were someone else, he might have already taken action. However, this was Third Master Wu, the most famous Third Master in the Yangtze River Delta. He should respect him no matter what. Since Chang Baji said so, Third Master Wu asked something that made him a little confused. In fact, it did not matter whether he knew it or not. Anyway, he was not far away from death. If he could say as many words as he could, he would. After all, he would not have any chance in the future. What happened tonight? Does it have anything to do with my foster son, Wu Yongchuan? The question that Third Master Wu threw out was very sharp. He asked straightforwardly. When he thought about it carefully, he always felt that it was a little strange. Chang Baji did not deny it. He answered truthfully, without Wu Yongchuan's cooperation, how could Third Master Wu come to Haining? Without his plan, how could we take action in the old house of the Wu family? Although he had already thought of this possibility, after hearing Chang Baji's answer, Third Master Wu was still a little shocked. He did not expect that it really had something to do with Wu Yongchuan. This foster son did not let him down. It seemed that the thing that he regretted most in his life was that he did not kill him at that time. Now it led to such a result. Ha 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 ha, I really looked down on him. He is really more ruthless than me. It is ridiculous that 2 hours ago, I was thinking of using him again after a period of time. Very good, very good. Third Master Wu laughed out loud. Chang Baji did not care about these trivial things. He smiled and said, anything else? In addition to my foster son, who else participated in this matter this time? Third Master Wu continued to ask. He had already known about Wu Yongchuan, but he was worried that there were other people. If there were really other people, he would really be a failure. Chang Baji said thoughtfully, apart from Wu Yongchuan, there is no one else on your side. The only one left is the old monk. We planned and carried out this action together with the old monk. Without the old monk's full cooperation, we did not dare to act blindly without thinking. The old monk. Third Master Wu frowned and said, as expected, there is also his shadow. This old fox is really cunning. Chang Baji could be considered to let Third Master Wu die in peace. He explained truthfully, the old monk participated in the whole plan from the beginning, including suddenly starting a war against you, refusing to compromise with you, until the ceasefire and compromise recently. All these were just to cooperate with us. Now you should be satisfied, right? The old monk is smarter than you. He chose to compromise. We approached you first, but you refused. So it is not surprising that you are in this situation today. Ha 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 ha, I really did not expect that the old monk would use me like this. Qin Sheng is really powerful. It is not an exaggeration for me to die in your hands. At this time, Third Master Wu should be at his most free and easy time. He did not have any pressure or burden, and would not think about anything anymore. So he asked again, but I still don't understand. Why did the old monk choose to compromise? How could Qin Sheng agree? Chang Baji said casually, Third Master, it is useless for you to ask these questions. You already know what you should know. Do you have to ask so thoroughly? Third Master Wu lowered his head and took a sip of tea. He chuckled and said, right, don't ask any more. I am going to die soon. What is the point of asking these questions? Chang Baji stopped being casual. He squinted and said in a deep voice, Third Master, can I send you to hell now? Outside, Chu Xikong and Huang Feng were still in a state of anxiety. Maybe Chu Xikong felt that the hope was getting smaller and smaller. He broke out the last of his strength and made Huang Feng suffer a lot. Of course, he also paid a high price. Even so, he still could not get rid of Huang Feng. This was the most frustrating thing. In the room, after Chang Baji finished his words, Third Master Wu did not say anything. He just closed his eyes slowly. Everything had been settled. Except for Chu Xikong, no one could save him from Chang Baji. It was a pity that Chu Xikong was obviously stopped. He wanted to save him, but he did not have the strength. Even if other people arrived, it would be useless. So Third Master Wu accepted his fate. Chang Baji was not surprised at Third Master Wu's calmness, but he admired Third Master Wu very much. No wonder he could get to where he was today. It was not a fluke. Although Chang Baji admired Third Master Wu, he would not be soft-hearted. He was not a soft-hearted person. He knew clearly what his task was. Consequently, Chang Baji walked to Third Master Wu's back slowly. He held Third Master Wu's head with both hands and took a deep breath. Third Master Wu, I will send you to hell. Third Master Wu nodded slightly with a faint smile on his face. It was worth it to have such a wonderful life. Bang! Chang Baji suddenly exerted his strength and broke Third Master Wu's neck in an instant. At this moment, Third Master Wu, a legendary figure, came to an end. Reading at midnight. Chapter 782. The world changed. He died. Third Master Wu died just like that. In the face of death, Third Master Wu was very calm. He did not resist at all. He ended his legendary life with a smile. Perhaps he was deeply influenced by Buddhism. Third Master Wu had no fear or resistance to death at all. Birth, aging, illness, and death were human nature. When he was alive, he should try his best to run and burst out brilliant sparks in his limited life. He tried his best not to have too many regrets in this life. Third Master Wu did it in this life. It took him 40 years to climb to this dazzling position from an ordinary farmer's son. In the Yangtze River Delta region, who didn't know the name of Third Master Wu? There were thousands of people in the world, but how many of them could reach this step? Third Master Wu had experienced all kinds of things in his life. He had seen all kinds of big shots and all kinds of big shots. Money, beautiful women, power, and status. He had everything he should have. It seemed that he had reached the ceiling. If it were not for Qin Sheng's matter, which suddenly gave him the hope of returning to Shanghai, perhaps he would have continued to cultivate in seclusion on Mount Putuo. Why? Because there was no person or thing in this world that could make him pursue. Living was just living. Therefore, he could only pursue spiritual liberation and epiphany. Unexpectedly, he met Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng's appearance changed the fate of many people. Even a big shot like Third Master Wu had his life trajectory changed. Who knew how many small figures had been affected? Therefore, when he was about to die, Third Master Wu could be so calm. There was nothing that he could not let go of, and there was nothing that he could not let go of. Moreover, he had always felt that it was God's grace that he could live to this day. He did not know how many times he had walked through the gates of hell. If he was really going to die, he would not know how many times he had died. Therefore, even if he died today, he would have gained a lot. Those former opponents of his were not so lucky. Anyway, death was death. There was no need to say anything more. Everyone knew how shocked the whole Yangtze River Delta would be after the news of Third Master Wu's death spread tomorrow. At this moment, Chang Baji, who had personally sent Third Master Wu to his death, was even calmer than Third Master Wu. Chang Baji had always been indifferent. Nothing could arouse his interest. It seemed that killing Third Master Wu was just a very common thing that he had done. There was nothing to make a fuss about. Although Chang Baji also knew what it meant to kill Third Master Wu, and that numerous people in the whole Yangtze River Delta wanted to kill Third Master Wu, it did not occur to him that Third Master Wu would die in his hands in the end. But this was only for others. For him, Third Master Wu was no different. Now that Third Master Wu was dead, Haining's task was finally accomplished. Chang Baji let out a long sigh of relief. Except for Chu Sikong, who was still fighting desperately outside, they were not in any danger anymore. It was time for them to retreat. There was no need to stay here any longer in case of other accidents. As a result, Chang Baji carried Third Master Wu up slowly and put him on the bed. Then, he covered him with a quilt. Third Master Wu looked quite peaceful, just like a baby who was sleeping soundly. Except for Chang Baji, no one knew that Third Master Wu had already ended his life. Standing in front of the window, Chang Baji looked at Third Master Wu for a while and finally bowed to him to show his respect to this legendary figure. Then Chang Baji strode out of the room. Outside, Chu Sikong and Huang Feng were still fighting desperately. Chu Sikong was known as the #1 in Jiangxia. Last time, even Chang Baji was no match for Chu Sikong. Obviously, it was not a boast. Chu Sikong's strength was real. Therefore, even though he was multitasking, Chu Sikong was still very powerful. He made Huang Feng suffer a lot and had been injured a lot. Huang Feng tried his best. Since Chang Baji had already entered the room to kill Third Master Wu, he could fight with Chu Sikong to see whether this number one in Jiangxia was a person fishing for fame or not. Therefore, the more Huang Feng fought, the more excited he became. Although he was injured a lot, Chu Sikong was not much better than him. At this moment, Chu Sikong had already vomited blood. What was going on? Chang Baji had been in the room for a long time. Chu Sikong became more and more anxious. Therefore, he became more and more flustered and exposed more and more flaws, which gave Huang Feng too many opportunities. Therefore, Huang Feng obviously had the upper hand at this moment. At this moment, Chang Baji, who had finished his task, walked out slowly. Chu Sikong and Huang Feng had already seen him. Chang Baji looked at Huang Feng and nodded slightly. It was obvious that he had finished his task. Seeing this, Huang Feng burst into laughter. Since he had finished his task, he did not have any pressure anymore. Next, he just needed to kill Chu Sikong. Chu Sikong knew very well what Chang Baji's nod meant. That was, the third master was dead. Thinking of this, Chu Sikong could not stand it anymore. Suddenly, he opened his mouth, which was full of sadness and resentment. Then, he was so anxious that he vomited a mouthful of extravasated blood. It seemed that he had lost his spirit all of a sudden, like a deflated balloon. Huang Feng was not soft-hearted. He did not think that he was taking advantage of Chu Sikong's precarious situation. He took the opportunity to kick Chu Sikong's chest without hesitation. Chu Sikong, who had lost his wits, had no time to care about this. At this moment, all his thoughts were on the third master. He staggered back a few steps until he hit an old locust tree in the yard and fell to the ground. After falling to the ground, Chu Sikong did not get up as quickly as before. He sat on the ground with a blank look and kept vomiting blood. He just sat there, unable to accept the news that the third master was dead. Chu Sikong and third master Wu were like teachers and friends. They had gone through thick and thin together for so many years. Step by step, they got to where they were today. Now that third master Wu was dead, Chu Sikong felt that he had nothing to live for anymore. It could be said that Huang Feng had fought to his heart's content in today's life and death battle. The only thing he was not quite satisfied about was that this was not Chu Sikong's peak strength. Obviously, Chu Sikong had been distracted by third master Wu's matter. Otherwise, Huang Feng would have been more carefree. Huang Feng said disdainfully, "Mr. Chu, you are just SOSO." It seemed that he was mocking Chu Sikong on purpose. Chu Sikong did not pay attention to him at all. He just muttered to himself, "Dead? Is he really dead?" The death of third master Wu made Chu Sikong lose his direction. At this moment, he was very confused. Originally, his existence was to protect the third master. Now that the third master was dead, what should he do? Chang Baji looked at Chu Sikong, who was in such a state, and felt somewhat sorry for him. However, the fact was so cruel that he could not pity anyone. After all, they were in different positions. Huang Feng looked at Chang Baji and asked, "Lao Chang, since third master Wu has died, our task has also come to an end. Is it time for us to withdraw in case of unnecessary trouble?" Both Chang Baji and Huang Feng had the same idea. Chang Baji nodded slightly and said, "Okay. Let's withdraw." Huang Feng looked back at Chu Sikong, who was in a daze, and asked, "What should we do with him? Should we kill him or let him kill himself?" When Chang Baji became ruthless, he was really ruthless. He replied without thinking at all, "Kill him. Don't leave any trouble in the future." Of course, Chang Baji did not want Chu Sikong, who was such a dangerous person, to be left alive. Even though Chu Sikong had let him off once before, it was because Chu Sikong did not kill him. He did not want Chu Sikong to seek revenge on Qin Sheng after he recovered. That was equal to burying hidden dangers for Qin Sheng. After all, Chu Sikong was not an ordinary person. Now was the best time to kill him. Upon hearing Chang Baji's words, Huang Feng's eyes instantly became somewhat sinister. He walked toward Chu Sikong without hesitation. He also thought so. At this moment, Chu Sikong had already felt Huang Feng's killing intent. He stood up with some difficulty and looked at the murderer, Chang Baji. He gnashed his teeth and said, "Chang Baji, I will avenge the third master." After saying that, Chu Sikong rushed directly toward Chang Baji. He would not allow Chang Baji to leave in this way. Anyway, the third master was already dead. Since he did not protect the third master well, it was meaningless for him to live. However, before he approached Chang Baji, Huang Feng blocked his way again. Chu Sikong, who was mentally and physically exhausted, was no match for Huang Feng, who was getting more and more courageous as the fight went on. He was knocked down by Huang Feng in the first round. He no longer had the demeanor of the number one person in Jiangsu and Zhujiang. Chang Baji let out a long sigh and said nothing. He had seen such a scene many times. No matter how pitiful Chu Sikong was, he would not let him live. Chang Baji said to Huang Feng casually, "I'll leave it to you. I'm leaving now." After that, he left the small courtyard where Third Master Wu was. In the courtyard, Chu Sikong, who wanted to stop Chang Baji, chased after him again. However, he was kicked out by Huang Feng again after taking a few steps. He was embarrassed. It was no longer guessing what would happen to Chu Sikong in the end. From then on, there would no longer be the number one person in Jiangsu and Zhujiang. Half an hour later, everything was settled. Chang Baji, Huang Feng, and the others safely evacuated from the old house of the Wu family. Except for Third Master Wu and Chu Sikong who died, there were no other casualties. Even Liang Yu was just knocked out by Yang Dainyu. The others were just slightly injured. As for those subordinates of Wu Yongchuan, after Chang Baji and the others left, they also put on a good show. Those who should be injured were injured. After all, this was what Wu Yongchuan had asked them to do. Otherwise they would be dead. In Shanghai, number 1 Zhongliang Ocean View. Qin Sheng, who had drunk a lot of wine, was a little dizzy. He didn't know whether it was because he had a heavy heart or his capacity for liquor had deteriorated. However, as he drank one glass after another, Yukefi became less and less like Yukefi, which made Qin Sheng feel a little emotional. After returning to Shanghai, every time he saw Yukefi had changed a lot. Qin Sheng didn't know what he had experienced in these years. At this time, after waiting for a whole night, Qin Sheng finally received a call from Chang Baji. He did not care about the existence of others and directly answered the phone. Chang Baji said in a low voice, "Dead." Qin Sheng naturally understood what was going on. He directly hung up the phone, picked up the wine glass without hesitation, and drank it up. The big stone in his heart finally fell off. In Haining, Wu Yongchuan, who was in the restaurant, was finally drunk by Luo Changgong and Yang Deng. Luo Changgong and Yang Deng supported the unconscious Wu Yongchuan and prepared to go back to the old house of the Wu family. As soon as they walked out of the restaurant, the Wu family's messenger arrived. When they heard the news that their foster father had an accident, Luo Changgong and Yang Deng instantly woke up, because the sky had collapsed. Chapter 783. No more concern. Third Master Wu was dead. Qin Sheng finally solved a big problem. In this way, he would not have too much pressure in Shanghai. Third Master Wu would not be a threat in the future. The only thing he worried about was the Yan family. However, after Su Xingwei came to Shanghai, the Yan family would not act rashly for the time being. They must wait for the news from Su Xingwei. In any case, Third Master Wu's death made Qin Sheng in a good mood. Xia Ding and Yu Kefi felt it. Yu Kefi asked subconsciously, "Boss, what's wrong? What's so happy about?" Of course, Qin Sheng would not say these things, because Third Master Wu was too famous in the Yangtze River Delta. Both Yu Kefi and Xia Ding definitely knew it. If he told them now that the famous Third Master Wu was killed by him just now, he was afraid that these two people would be scared silly. "Nothing. Let's drink," Qin Sheng said with a smile. Seeing that Qin Sheng was unwilling to say it, they did not ask anything. After all, Qin Sheng was no longer the Qin Sheng of that year. The background of the Qin family was far from what they could compare with. What's more, the Qin family was in deep trouble now. Naturally, many things could not be said. In the living room, the three beauties who had been talking for a few hours were a little tired. Yu Kefi's girlfriend could not help muttering a few words. After all, Qin was the hostess and could not say much. Only Lin Su could come forward. Lin Su got up and walked to the balcony. She smiled and said, "Are you going to talk all night? Sister-in-law, you care about the boss. Don't worry, we won't make him drink too much," Yu Kefi said half-jokingly. Lin Su chuckled and said, "No, I trust his drinking capacity. I'm afraid you can't accompany him." It was very late. Qin Sheng felt it was about time. He took the initiative to say, "It's too late today. Let's continue another day. Lao Si is going to stay in Shanghai for a week. We have plenty of time." It seemed that Yu Kefi had not had enough fun yet. Maybe he hadn't seen Qin Sheng and Xia Ding for a long time. Although he had changed a lot, from his standpoint, his feelings for Qin Sheng and Xia Ding had not changed. This was also the place where he was still recognized by Qin Sheng. Xia Ding had drunk a lot at noon, and he drank so much at night. He was really drunk. At this time, he was already trying his best to hold on. He quickly echoed, "Next time, then. I can't drink anymore. If I drink again, I'll really get drunk. When I'm in a better state next time, I'll compete with you in drinking." And so, they dispersed. Xia Ding and his fiancée, Qin, personally sent Qin Sheng and Yu Kefi to the underground garage. Along the way, several people seemed to have endless things to say, teasing each other, which made several women laugh until their stomachs hurt. In the end, Yu Kefi left with his girlfriend first, followed by Qin Sheng and Lin Su. The driver had already driven the car over. Just when Qin Sheng was about to leave, Xia Ding pulled Qin Sheng and seemed to have something to say. So Qin Sheng followed Xia Ding to the side. Xia Ding took the initiative to say, "Boss, do you think that Lao Si has changed?" Although Xia Ding used to be a playboy, he could not hide his cleverness. When he was in college, Xia Ding was actually the most active person. Just when they were drinking just now, he could sensitively feel the change in Qin Sheng's attitude towards Yu Kefi. Especially when Yu Kefi talked about the family business and so on, Qin Sheng did not seem to be interested. He took the initiative to change the topic several times. Didn't he understand? Qin Sheng did not deny it and nodded. To be honest, he has changed a lot. I don't know what he has experienced. Boss, we are not ordinary people. When we were in college, we could do whatever we wanted without any worries. But now we can't do that. There is no way. People can't only live for themselves. That is too selfish. You see, even I have changed, let alone Lao Si. In fact, you have changed too. You just haven't noticed it. But these changes don't mean that we have become bad in nature or anything. It's just that we have to lose something so that we can cherish something. Xia Ding was drunk or something. Maybe there was a reason why he could choose to get engaged so quickly, but he did not tell others. Qin Sheng rarely saw Xia Ding being so serious, so he did not interrupt him. He was also reflecting on whether he had thought too much just now. At this time, Xia Ding continued to say, "Actually, what I want to say, boss, you know what I mean. I just hope you don't think too much. As long as Lao Si does not become bad, as long as our relationship is still there, Lao Si is still the same Lao Si." Of course, Qin Sheng understood what Xia Ding meant. It was precisely because he cared about this relationship that Xia Ding was so serious. He did not want the brothers to have any estrangement with each other. No matter how far they went or how down they were in the future, brothers were still brothers. Qin Sheng hugged Xia Ding subconsciously. He patted Xia Ding's shoulder gently and said, "Good brother." In one sentence, Xia Ding understood what Qin Sheng meant. It was because Qin Sheng was smarter than them and had more experience than them. Therefore, Qin Sheng understood a lot of things without saying too much. He had learned a lot from Qin Sheng over the years. After a few words, the two brothers separated. This time, Xia Ding did not ask Qin Sheng to stay. After watching them get in the car and leave, he and Qin turned around and went upstairs. At the Wu family's old house in Haining, people were in an uproar. When Luo Changgong and Yang Deng rushed back to the old house of the Wu family and learned that their foster father and Mr. Chu had been killed, they were so shocked that they did not come to their senses for a long time. That was because the news was so shocking that no one knew what to do next. However, Luo Changgong was not an ordinary person. He calmed down quickly and made arrangements quickly. First of all, he blocked the Wu family's old house completely. Without his order, no one was allowed to go in or out. At the same time, he made a phone call and sent many trusted subordinates from Hangzhou to the Wu family's old house in Haining overnight. He had to do this because the news was so shocking. Before he figured out a solution, once it was leaked, the whole Yangtze River Delta would be shocked, not to mention their circle. Their foster father was dead, and so was Mr. Chu. Who on earth did such a big thing? Compared with Luo Changgong's calmness, Yang Deng was more sad and angry. Now he just wanted to know who on earth killed his foster father. Once he knew it, he would definitely avenge his foster father by hook or by crook. He swore that he would not stop until he got his revenge. Luo Changgong also brought his trusted military counselor to Haining this time, because there were too many things to deal with recently. First, they had to deal with the old monk. Secondly, his foster father had asked him to deal with Shanghai's affairs. He had to discuss with his trusted military counselor at all times so that he would not be in a mess. If he handled it well, it would be easy for him to gain favor in front of his foster father. However, he did not expect to encounter such a thing, which made him panic for a moment and he did not know what to do. In Luo Changgong's bedroom, his trusted military counselor was sitting opposite him at the moment. The outside was guarded by Luo Changgong's two bodyguards, who did not allow anyone to get close, because they were going to talk about something important. "Brother Luo, do you know what we should do now?" The trusted military counselor frowned slightly. It seemed that the sudden death of Third Master Wu had nothing to do with him. After all, his boss was Luo Changgong. As long as Luo Changgong was fine, everything would be fine. Luo Changgong squinted and said, "Lao Su, we have known each other for so many years. If you have anything to say, just say it." Although Luo Changgong had calmed down and was unwilling to accept the news, what had happened could not be changed no matter what. However, he still did not know what to do. After all, there were too many things involved, which were already out of his ability. At this moment, Qin Sheng's foster father and Mr. Chu's body were still in the room. His body was still in the room, and only Yang Deng was guarding there. Fortunately, Yang Deng listened to him and did not act rashly. However, his elder brother, Wu Yongchuan, who could have discussed countermeasures with him, was drunk and unconscious, which made him feel somewhat helpless. However, he had not thought about whether this matter had anything to do with Wu Yongchuan. The third master is dead. This is what has happened. Nobody can change it. We definitely have to avenge the third master. However, this is not the most important thing now. The most important thing now is, after the third master is dead, what should this circle do? Lao Su was in his early 40s and looked quite shrewd. He had given Luo Changgong a lot of advice and suggestions over the years. Luo Changgong trusted him very much. Luo Changgong squinted and said nothing. Apparently, he understood what Lao Su meant. He only said, "Lao Su, go on." Lao Su said, "When the third master was alive, he could suppress anyone. Nobody dared to act rashly. However, after the third master died, we were already a group of dragons without a leader. At this time, who do you think we'll listen to? Brother Luo, do you think you can suppress Zhao Shi? Do you think he will listen to you?" Lao Su said. The onlookers saw the game more clearly than the onlookers. After learning that third master Wu was dead, Lao Su started to analyze the possible situation for Luo Changgong subconsciously. Before Luo Changgong said anything, Lao Su continued, "At this time, who will care about the third master's death? They will only think about how to be the boss or how to fight for the biggest benefits for themselves. At this time, if we only care about avenging the third master, we will really miss the opportunity. At that time, it will be too late for us to regret. This is also why I asked you to transfer our people here overnight." Luo Changgong asked directly, "What do you mean?" At this time, Lao Su lowered his voice and said bluntly, "No matter what method you use, suppress this news as long as you can. Buy us more time to plan. At the same time, when Boss Wu wakes up, promise him enough benefits so that he will support you to be the boss." In an instant, Luo Changgong knew what to do. "I got it." As a result, the news of Third Master Wu's death was suppressed by Luo Changgong. Even if Liang Yu woke up and told Luo Changgong and Yang Deng that the murderer who killed Third Master Wu was Qin Sheng, because she had recognized Qin Sheng's trusted bodyguard, Yang Deng, Luo Changgong was still indifferent. At the same time, he suppressed Yang Deng, who wanted to take revenge, and said that they must wait until Wu Yongchuan woke up. Luo Changgong, who had calmed down, was not surprised at the news that Liang Yu had told him. It seemed that he had predicted this would happen. That was why he was so calm. After all, during this time they only had two biggest enemies. One was Qin Sheng and the other was the old monk. At 4 o'clock in the morning, all of Luo Changgong's trusted subordinates arrived at the old house of the Wu family in Haining. Luo Changgong and Lao Su arranged a lot of things that night. After staying there for a while, they all left the old house of the Wu family and started to take action. They only had one task, which was to help Luo Changgong seize the opportunity. At dawn, Wu Yongchuan, who had been unconscious for a whole night, finally woke up. When Luo Changgong told Wu Yongchuan the news that Third Master Wu had died, Wu Yongchuan put on a good show. His shocked and sad expression was perfect, as if he had practiced it many times in advance. No one would doubt him. After that, Luo Changgong started to discuss the countermeasures with Wu Yongchuan. Wu Yongchuan was very active and supported Luo Changgong without hesitation, which made Luo Changgong quite satisfied. However, he did not know that Wu Yongchuan had other plans. Of course, Qin Sheng did not know what had happened in the old house of the Wu family that night, because it had nothing to do with him anymore. After Third Master Wu died, Qin Sheng would not pay attention to this side anymore. What was left was a dog-eat-dog scramble for benefit. In the early morning, when Qin Sheng was about to leave for the company, Bao Fan suddenly called him and asked him to go to the seaside of Pudong. He said that someone from the Qin family had arrived in Shanghai and wanted to meet him. He was very surprised because no one had informed him in advance. Reading at midnight. Chapter 784. Killing a man. Qin Sheng was in a good mood after Third Master Wu died. However, he received a call from Bao Fan early in the morning, saying that someone from the Qin family had come to Shanghai and asked him to meet them at the seaside of Pudong. Bao Fan didn't say anything about it, which made Qin Sheng a little confused. Everyone was clear about the current situation of the Qin family. It was obviously not a good thing that someone suddenly came to Shanghai at this time. Qin Shing had already prepared for the worst. On the way to the seaside of Pudong, Qin Shing called Chang Baji. It was not until then that Chang Baji told him what had happened last night in detail, especially how Third Master Wu looked when he died. He said that he was very calm and unperturbed. He did not resist at all, nor did he beg for mercy. He was not shocked or flustered at all. He just smiled and left quietly. As a result, Qin Shing could not help but look at Third Master Wu in a new light. Obviously, this old man had gone through a lot of ups and downs, as well as ups and downs, so he must have known that he would have such a day sooner or later. Although they had become enemies because of their different standpoints, Qin Shing still respected this ambitious and ruthless person very much. A person's life was so short. How many people could have such a legendary life like Third Master Wu? Anyway, Third Master Wu was dead at last. The Chu family had paid the price for what had happened in the past. Except for the Yan family, Qin Shing had almost gotten his revenge for what had happened in Shanghai and Hangzhou. Gu Qingyang could rest in peace there. Qin Shing felt much better at last. Chang Baji had rushed back from Shanghai overnight. Originally, he wanted to go back to Qin Shing as soon as possible, for fear that the Chu family would start their crazy revenge. In this way, he could guarantee Qin Shing's safety. However, Qin Shing asked him and Yang Dainyu to go back and have a good rest for 2 days. As long as Wu Yongchuan's identity was not exposed, they would know what was happening there immediately. Therefore, there was no need to be so anxious. After hanging up the call with Chang Baji, Qin Shing called the old monk again. On the old monk's side, Huang Feng and the others had already parted ways with Chang Baji and Yang Dainyu after the end of the task. They rushed back to Hangzhou overnight to report to the old monk. As a result, the old monk had already known the news of the death of his old enemy, Third Master Wu. However, he did not act rashly and waited to discuss with Qin Shing. After all his plans at present would be based on Qin Shing. Congratulations, Master Chu. After the call was put through, Qin Shing took the initiative to congratulate the old monk. The old monk and Third Master Wu had been enemies for many years. Now, 2 different choices led to 2 different results. Third Master Wu died because he refused Qin Shing, while the old monk had the last laugh because he chose Qin Shing. It was really sad. Same to you, the old monk said with a smile. At this moment, he was reading and listening to the radio in the garden outside, as if nothing had happened. That was because he knew that Qin Shing would call him and he had been waiting for Qin Shing's call. In fact, after Huang Feng reported to him last night, the old monk did not come to himself for a while. Although he had expected this ending, when the ending was really announced, the old monk still sighed with emotion. He and Third Master Wu had been scheming against each other for so many years. Although they were enemies, they were also friends. Moreover, they appreciated each other. Now that Third Master Wu was dead, the old monk was somewhat sad. Since he was dead, it meant that a legend of a generation had become history. Since Third Master Wu was really dead, the legend of a generation would become history. Anyone would feel sorry for him. However, the old monk also knew that he would have such a day sooner or later, and it would not take long. He could see other people's comments on Third Master Wu's life, but he would not know how other people made a conclusion about him. However, he thought that people's comments would be much better than Third Master Wu's. After Third Master Wu died, there was no successor to continue his family line and legacy. All of his adopted sons were ambitious. It was estimated that they had been thinking about how to fight for the family property. However, the old monk was different. He still had his grandson, Chu Huanxi, and Qin Shing's support. Who dared to discredit him? Qin Shing continued to flatter the old monk. In the future, Master Chu's family will be the most powerful in Zhejiang province. From then on, you will be in the limelight. Even Boss Hu and the Dugu family will have to lower their heads to you. How can it be so easy? After Third Master Wu died, I became the target of public criticism. As the saying goes, the bird that pokes its head out will be hit, and a tall tree will also attract the wind. In the past, Third Master Wu and I shared the burden. Now I am the only one. I have to be very careful, the old monk said calmly. He had already analyzed many results and possibilities. Qin Shing said casually, "That's true. However, Master Chu, you are not an ordinary person. I still believe in your means and ability. I hope that Master Chu can go to a higher level." Qin Shing did not mention the thing that they had agreed on before. That was because the old monk was still useful to him now. Since Third Master Wu had fallen, the old monk's family would be the most powerful one. After he finished integrating the resources, the old monk could spare some strength to go to Shanghai to restrain the Yen family. At that time, the Yen family would not dare to act rashly. The old monk said meaningfully, "Master Qin, then what should we do next? I am still waiting for your order. The news that Third Master Wu died has not been exposed yet. Obviously, it has been suppressed by the Yen family. So do we need to take the initiative to release this news?" The old monk said meaningfully. However, the meaning of his words was very obvious. That was, Qin Shing was the leader and he had full authority to listen to Qin Shing's arrangement. Anyway, the old monk's attitude was very humble, which made Qin Shing feel very comfortable. He said with a smile, "There is no order. What we are doing is a win-win cooperation. Since the Yen family has suppressed this news, let's not release it. Let them struggle internally. Master Chu, you should prepare now. Next, you should seize as many territories as you can. At this time, no one will be polite to you. The Dugu family and boss, who are waiting for you." The old monk said calmly, "Well, I understand. Master Qin, don't worry. I have already arranged it." Qin Shing did not need to say these things at all. He knew what to do. At this time, Qin Shing said thoughtfully, "I am waiting for Master Chu to come to Shanghai to support me. Master Chu, don't let me down." The old monk understood what Qin Shing meant subconsciously. After all, Qin Shing was an old fox. How could he not understand Qin Shing's words? After hanging up the phone, Qin Shing stopped thinking about those things. Later, Brother Wu Bahi and the others could withdraw from Hangzhou. In this way, there would be enough people in Shanghai. When the news that Third Master Wu died was exposed, the Dugu family and Boss Hu would naturally know what to do. Although Boss Hu said that he would not get involved in this muddy water, after Third Master Wu died, he would leave such a big cake. It would be strange if Boss Hu did not have any ideas. This was not Boss Hu's style. Now, Qin Shing was only thinking about who on earth the Qin family had come to Shanghai. No one had informed him in advance. It was understandable that the old man and Uncle Gongsun did not tell him in advance. But how could his sister not know? If anything happened in the Qin family, his sister would inform him as soon as possible, let alone such a big thing. By the seaside of Pudong, there were basically ports and docks here. This was one of the busiest ports in the world. Every day, countless ocean-going ships docked here and left. Bao Fan had already sent the location to Qin Shing. It was in the sea area not far from the Pudong port. After Qin Shing arrived, someone picked him up on a speedboat. It was quite mysterious, which made Qin Shing more confused. Soon, Qin Shing's speedboat approached Bao Fan's yacht. Bao Fan saw Qin Shing from afar. He smiled and said to the unfamiliar man and woman beside him, "Young master, you are here." The man and woman nodded silently. This trip to Shanghai was very simple. Although there would be a lot of trouble, this was originally their task in the Qin family. They would not have any complaints. As long as the Qin family asked them, they would dare to do it. After Qin Shing boarded the yacht, he frowned and said, "Brother Bao, who on earth is here? They are so mysterious. Could it be that the old man came to Shanghai in person? Of course, Qin Sheng was joking. No matter how difficult the old man's situation was, he would not be restricted from leaving Beijing. It was very likely that he would be restricted from leaving the country. Therefore, the old man did not need to be so mysterious when meeting his son. Bao Fan shook his head and smiled bitterly. To be honest, I don't know them. I should say that I have never seen them before. But Butler Gongsun called me in person, so there is no need to doubt their identity. This made Qin Sheng more confused. Even Bao Fan did not know them. Then who on earth were they? Qin Sheng did not ask much. He followed Bao Fan to the deck in front of the yacht. At this time, he had already seen the so-called guests of the Qin family. It was a strange man and a woman whom he did not even know. The man was very strange. To put it simply, he was enchanting like a woman. As for the woman, except for being cold and beautiful, there was nothing special about her. At this moment, they were standing there and staring at him with strange eyes, which made him very uncomfortable. After Qin Sheng walked over slowly, he frowned and asked, "You are?" This man and woman were not strangers. They were the ones who had brought old Master Qin's token to the Qin family. Even Qin Chang'an had not figured out their identity until now. The only thing he could figure out was that they were not outsiders. They must be members of the Qin family. Because even he did not know many things about the old master. "Young Master Qin, you don't need to know who we are. You don't need to doubt our identity. Master Qin and the others have already confirmed it." The gorgeously dressed gigolo laughed and said. Since the old man had confirmed their identity and Uncle Gongsun had also called, there was no need to doubt their identity. Therefore, Qin Sheng asked straightforwardly, "What are you doing in Shanghai?" "We only came to Shanghai for one thing, to kill a person for the Qin family or for you, young Master Qin. It's as simple as that," the ice beauty without makeup said casually, as if killing a person was a very common thing. After hearing this news, Qin Sheng was shocked. He had thought of many possibilities, but he did not expect that it would be like this. He frowned and said, "Kill a person? First set a small goal, such as 1 second. Remember, bookseller's house." Chapter 785. Get ready, what's going on? At this moment, Qin Sheng was somewhat confused by the answer given by the strange man and woman. It had never occurred to him that the strange man and woman had come to Shanghai for the Qin family or to kill someone for him. Since they were sent by the old man, it was obvious that they had been approved by the old man. So why didn't he know who they were going to kill? The gorgeously dressed man nodded with a smile and said, "That's right. To kill someone, young Master Qin only needs to nod his head. We'll do the rest. After it's over, it will have nothing to do with Qin Sheng. You can rest assured about this, young Master Qin." Qin Sheng was still confused. He thought to himself, "I don't even know who you want to kill. At least tell me. Otherwise, how can I agree?" So Qin Sheng asked again, "Kill who?" Yen Chaozong was answered by the cold woman this time. It seemed that they were used to this way of talking. Qin Sheng was shocked again. "Kill Yen Chaozong? What the hell? Yen Chaozong?" Qin Sheng frowned and asked. He still didn't understand why the old man suddenly sent 2 people to kill Yen Chaozong. If he really wanted to kill Yen Chaozong, he could do it himself. There was no need for the old man to send people from Beijing. The gigolo curled his lips and said, "That's right. It's Yen Chaozong. Now we're just waiting for young Master Qin to nod his head. We'll do the rest. Young Master Qin only needs to wait for the result. As for our strength, young Master Qin doesn't need to worry. We've never failed in these years." Qin Sheng didn't have the mood to think about this at all. He was still thinking about why the old man sent people to help him kill Yen Chaozong. He could handle Yen Chaozong's matter by himself. It was just a matter of time. If he really wanted to kill Yen Chaozong, he didn't need to make such a big fuss. Seeing that Qin Shing didn't speak, the cold beauty asked, "Then, young Master Qin, what do you mean?" At this time, Qin Shing had already come to his senses. He waved his hand and said, "Don't worry. I'll give you an answer after I figure out what's going on." Since Qin Shing had already said so, the gigolo and the ice beauty did not say anything more. After all, the Qin family had already said that they could only take action after Qin Shing nodded his head and agreed. Otherwise, they absolutely could not act on their own. At this time, the gigolo and the ice beauty were ready to leave. Before they left, they told Qin Shing that they would only give him 1 day to think about it. After 1 day, they would let Bao Fan give them a reply, whether to agree or reject. If he agreed, they would carry out this task. If not, they would leave Shanghai directly. In short, they would not have any contact with Qin Shing again, in case any sequelae would be traced back to Qin Shing. After the gigolo and the ice beauty left, Qin Shing was not in a hurry to leave. Bao Fan was now his strategist, and also the middleman for him to contact the old man. Therefore, Qin Shing looked at Bao Fan and asked, "Brother Bao, what do you think the old man means?" Bao Fan was also somewhat puzzled as he replied, "Young master, I'm not sure either. You'd better ask Master Qin directly." Since that was the case, Qin Shing did not ask any more questions. He directly dialed the old man's phone number. Bao Fan sensibly brought his men and left, leaving the front deck to Qin Shing. In fact, what Qin Shing was most worried about was that the old man did this because he doubted his ability. He felt that after returning to Shanghai for so long, he still had not finished dealing with Yan Chaozong's matter. Therefore, he personally sent people to Shanghai to solve the problem now. Not long after, the phone was connected. However, it was not Qin Chang'an who picked up the phone, but the Qin family's housekeeper, Gongsun. Qin Shing was somewhat puzzled as he asked, "Uncle Gongsun, where's the old man?" Gongsun said bluntly, "Young master, Master Qin is dealing with something. If you have any questions, just ask me directly. Maybe I can tell you the answer, or I can pass it on to Master Qin later." Gongsun was very clear about why Qin Shing called. He definitely wanted to ask about killing Yan Chaozong. After all, when they made this decision, they had already thought about Qin Shing's reaction. Therefore, Gongsun was also waiting for Qin Shing's answer. Qin Shing frowned and thought for a few seconds before he asked, "Uncle Gongsun, do you know that the old man sent people to Shanghai?" On the other side, in the study of the Qin family's Sihiyuan, Gongsun was on the phone, while Qin Chang'an was sitting next to him. However, Qin Shing did not know why he asked Gongsun to answer this call. Gongsun did not deny it. He answered very directly, "Yes, I know. This matter was also arranged by me. Ask whatever you want to ask." Qin Shing did not expect Gongsun's answer to be so direct. He was somewhat surprised as he said, "Uncle Gongsun, why did you send people from Beijing to kill Yan Chaozong? Is it necessary to make such a big fuss about Yan Chaozong? Even if it is necessary to kill Yan Chaozong, I have the ability to do it. There is no need for you to send people from Beijing." Gongsun had already guessed these questions that Qin Shing wanted to ask. He had also thought about how to answer. He chuckled and said, "Young master, this matter is not what you think it is. We do not doubt your ability at all. It is just a small Yan Chaozong. The Qin family does not need to go through so much trouble." This made Qin Shing even more confused. He continued to ask, "Uncle Gongsun, what on earth is going on?" "Young master, time is up. The Qin family does not have much time. You have to finish these trivial matters in Shanghai as soon as possible. It may not take long for you to go back to Beijing. When you are going back to Beijing, we do not want you to be held back by these trivial matters in Shanghai. That is why we did this," Gongsun answered truthfully. This was what he wanted to say. Gongsun's words instantly diverted Qin Shing's attention. Qin Sheng was no longer thinking about why he had sent people to kill Yan Chaozong. Instead, he was shocked by what Gongsun had said. He said somewhat incredulously, "Uncle Gongsun, what do you mean by time is up?" Gongsun did not expose him, because he was the only one who knew about this matter at the moment. Even Qin Ran did not know about it. Since Qin Sheng asked about this, he could only answer in this way. Anyway, it was time for Qin Sheng to be prepared. "What do I mean?" "It is what you understand," Gongsun said as such. Qin Sheng's face was full of confusion. Could the final result be like this? Did the Qin family really have no chance? Was the Qin family really going to fall just like that? Gongsun did not continue to dwell on this matter. He directly explained Yan Chaozong's matter and said, "We know that with your ability in Shanghai, you can totally kill Yan Chaozong. However, once you are used by someone with ulterior motives, you may be restrained in Shanghai. Therefore, this matter must be done by an outsider. In the end, it will definitely have nothing to do with you. This is our arrangement. Young master, do you understand now?" Although Qin Sheng had heard what Gongsun had said, he no longer cared about this matter. Now, he only cared about the Qin family. He was somewhat at a loss. "Uncle Gongsun, I got it." Gongsun could sense the change in Qin Sheng's emotions. Anyone who knew about this would definitely be shocked. Hence, Qin Sheng's reaction was within his expectations. Originally, they were not willing to tell Qin Sheng. However, once Qin Chang'an fell, the Qin family would have to let Qin Sheng carry the banner. Therefore, they revealed this to Qin Sheng so that Qin Sheng could be prepared, lest he would be confused when he got the news. "Young master, get ready. If there is nothing else, I will hang up," Gongsun said with a sigh. After saying this, he directly hung up the phone. On the other side, Qin Sheng, who had hung up the phone, felt a little lost. Originally, he wanted to ask about the matter of sending people from Beijing to kill Yan Chaozong. However, he did not expect that he would know about this matter by accident. This made Qin Sheng somewhat unable to accept it. He did not expect that after struggling for so long, the Qin family would still be so disappointed in the end. Qin Sheng just stood there, not knowing what he was thinking. Perhaps he was thinking about why the Qin family had come to this situation today, or why the Qin family's efforts were fruitless. Perhaps he was thinking about which forces were targeting Qin Sheng. Or perhaps he was thinking about the preparation that Uncle Gongsun had mentioned. How should he prepare? It was just a phone call, but the overwhelming pressure came to an abrupt end in an instant, making Qin Sheng somewhat breathless. Although he had long thought of these possibilities, when this result really happened, he was still somewhat at a loss as to what to do. After an unknown period of time, Bao Fan felt that it had been too long. This phone call should have ended long ago, so he ran over to find Qin Sheng. Seeing Qin Sheng there in a daze, with a somewhat serious and complicated expression, he walked over and could not help but ask, "Young master, what's wrong?" Only then did Qin Sheng come to his senses. He subconsciously shook his head and said, "Nothing, brother Bao. Send me back." Bao Fan did not know why Qin Sheng was suddenly in a bad mood. Maybe it was because he had a disagreement with Master Qin on the phone. He did not ask anything, but just sent Qin Sheng to the shore. Finally, he watched Qin Sheng get in the car and leave. After returning to the city, Qin Sheng did not go to the company. At this time, he was in no mood to go to the company. Although he had heard that Wang Qingshui would report to the board of directors about the inspection of the subsidiaries today, he would definitely suppress his side. He had originally thought about how to explain to the board of directors, but now he did not care about these things. In the end, Qin Sheng went to a place, which was Jiang Xianbang's old foreign-style house. He did not know why he came here. Maybe he just wanted to find a place to empty himself. At least every time he came to Qing Er's place, he would not feel any pressure. Drinking tea and listening to the guzheng seemed to be able to enter a state of selflessness. Jiang Xianbang was not here. According to Uncle Wang, the housekeeper, he went out to meet a friend. This was also what Qin Sheng wanted. Otherwise, when Jiang Xianbang saw him like this, he would definitely ask what was going on. Fortunately, Qing was here, and that was enough. Seeing Qin Sheng like this, anyone could feel that something was wrong. However, after seeing him, before Qing asked what was going on, Qin Sheng said directly, "Don't ask anything, I'm fine. Make me a pot of tea, I want to listen to you play the guzheng." Since Qin Sheng had already said so, Qing was very sensible and did not ask anything. After making tea for Qin Sheng, she quietly played the Chinese zither there. Qin Sheng listened to her absent-mindedly. Unknowingly, he fell asleep while listening. When Qin Sheng woke up, it was already dark. How long did he sleep? First, set a small goal, such as 1 second. Remember, Bookseller's House. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.